Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll see what happens. We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I am a dissident.
Don't move. Vote.
I'm saying no. Why you hear Palantir, 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 Palantir? It's not going to be stopped.
Seriously, we need to release the Epstein list.
Turns off.
I am not a church boy.
Turns off.
They're full-on vampires.
They hate our beef. They hate our beef. They hate our beef because our beef is beautiful and theirs is weak.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a Sunday evening edition of the Do Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobler, of course.
Hello.
How's everybody doing tonight? Hope you enjoyed that slightly reworked intro, courtesy of our friend Nick Ingvoldstead. Thanks for putting that together for us. Came out great, as we knew it would.
Finally,
Yes.
we have changed the intro. Yeah, we might play with a little bit, throw in a couple things.
Yeah,
But
got it
came
together.
out pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that's basically the way it's going to be. It sounds good to me. Everything fits in pretty nicely. Seems to flow pretty nicely. So why the hell not? We got a nice crowd in here to start things off tonight. 854 strong in the YouTube chat, 478 strong over on Rumble. Appreciate you all being here. Just a little program note on Tuesday. We will not be doing an afternoon show because Tuesday is election day, which means Tuesday night is election night. So we will have a live election night results show starting at 7 p.m. Eastern. Kind of works out nicely because the three big races that everyone's watching are in Virginia, New Jersey, and, of course, New York City with Zohran Mamdani. So the polls close in Virginia at 7, in New Jersey at 8, and then in New York City at 9. So it'll give us a race to follow every hour, plus segments. We're going to be doing segments, too, as well as bringing you live results. So no afternoon show on Tuesday. We will be doing an evening show. I want to congratulate all the Angelinos on their World Series victory. That was a hell of a game. Hell of a game. I always say, defense is the most undervalued aspect of baseball. You think of baseball as pitchers and hitters because it is to a large extent. The teams that make the big plays on defense are usually the teams that win in the playoffs, and the Dodgers made two incredible plays with bases loaded and this season on the line. It was extra innings, so if Toronto scored, they won, and the ground ball to Rojas where he picks out of the dirt, fires a strike to home plate in half a second in time. Amazing play, and then the fly ball to left field where just to get to that ball was amazing. To have two outfielders get to the ball, collide, and one guy come down with the ball with the season on the line, those are incredible plays. It was an incredible game, and so congratulations to the Los Angeles Dodgers. Canada has to wait another year for its glory.
As long as everybody had a good time.
As long as everybody had a good time. As long as everybody had a good time. It's hard not to root for Canada in times like this, but you got to give credit where it's due. That was a great game. All right. Well, I suppose that's all of our business that we had to take care of to start things off.
Well, no. I need to apologize to the man, Alexander the Great. Apparently, North Macedonia is like a made-up country that they carved out of, I guess, Yugoslavia, when Yugoslavia fell apart. So I had a lot of very angry Greeks and ethnic Macedonians complaining that the Slavs tried to claim Macedonian ancestry for themselves. They're trying to steal Alexander.
When did you say that?
I said it in the Cuba segment.
Oh. See, our fans pay closer attention to the show than I do. I don't even know what the hell you said.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's why we're going to start having fans do your job.
They know the show better than me.
They'll start sitting it.
They're much more up to date on what we say. than I am. Like, what the hell are you talking about? Macedonia. When did you say anything about Macedonia?
I'm telling you, man, you mess with people's national pride like that, especially Alexander. People have very strong feelings about Alexander. A lot of people are like, they're trying to say Alexander was Slavic. He wasn't Slavic. He was Greek. North Macedonia is made up.
All right. Well, glad we got that covered. Glad we got that out of the way.
Clear
That's
that
important. Yeah. Glad we cleared that up.
No, because I looked at the back end. I think 18% of our subscribers are from Macedonia. It's
Yeah,
weird.
right. Yeah, exactly.
That
Who
explains
knew?
why that was like 18% of the comments on that video.
Yeah, who knew? Who knew? Oh, yeah, we just dropped that today.
Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't looked at any of the comments on that yet. I haven't had a chance to look. Been scrambling all day to prepare the show for tonight. So let's get going. Jake is in the booth tonight. Shout out to Jake. Round of applause for Jake in the chat. 12:30 now filing in over on YouTube, 5:59 on Rumble. Smash that like button, everybody. Let's get over 666 as soon as we can, please, and thank you very much. All right, folks, it is November 2nd, which means that SNAP is now in crisis officially as U.S. federal food aid lapses, most states unable to fill the void. So Reuters reports for Roma Hammonds of Chattanooga, Tennessee, food stamps have been a lifeline since taking custody of her grandchildren 5 years ago. Hammonds, 60, who cannot work because of a physical disability, has relied on her $563 in monthly supplemental nutrition assistance program benefits to feed her family of 4 and to afford other bills like rent, she said. So that's $563 a month divided by 4 weeks. That's what, $120 a week for a family of 4. You tell me what family of 4 can get by on $120 of groceries per week. Go ahead.
All right.
Right. But they should have to work for it. They should have to go. She should have to go somewhere every 3 weeks and do work that the government creates for her. The government should create jobs for her to do, even though we don't like government jobs. But they should create jobs that they make poor people do to get the food, $120 a week to feed 4 people.
What
But
kind of disability? She can't work at home?
Yeah, well, she
work
can't
at
do
home?
data entry. Yeah. But her November benefits may not be issued by the U.S. government due to the ongoing federal shutdown. And Tennessee is among the vast majority of states that have said they cannot pay for the aid themselves. I don't know what I'll do, Hammonds said. Hammonds is one of the roughly 41 million SNAP recipients wading into a potential historic lapse on Saturday of the 60-year-old food aid program, which sends roughly $8 billion each month to low-income Americans in every state. Neither Congress nor the administration of President Donald Trump has acted to fund benefits. 2 federal judges on Friday ruled that the administration cannot block November SNAP benefits and must use about $5 billion in agency contingency funds to pay for them, requiring updates by Monday on compliance with their rulings. Yes, we'll be holding our breath for that. That is tomorrow, of course. The U.S. Department of Agriculture did not respond to questions about how it will react to the ruling or share any details of a plan to pay benefits. In the meantime, just 5 states, Delaware, New Mexico, Louisiana, Virginia, and Vermont, and the District of Columbia have said they will pay for some or all of the November food aid, according to a Reuters review of state websites and public statements. The rest have said they will not pay for the benefits due to technical or cost barriers or provided no explanation. So just to remind everybody of why this is happening, because we went into this in some detail on the last show, the Republicans are insisting that these, SNAP benefits not be backstopped in order to turn the heat up under Democrats to reopen the government without renewing the Obamacare subsidies. In other words, they want to send the message, well, if you don't agree to double the healthcare premiums for 20 million people, then we will not agree to backstop these food stamps. And if there was any doubt about that, if there was any inkling or of a thought in your mind that was just my interpretation, well, here it is from Mike Johnson himself saying exactly, yes, this is about increasing pressure on the Democrats.
This has been a stalemate for 30 days. And it's not just Democrats. You also have one of the most conservative Republican senators, Josh Hawley, who says, at least please move money around to feed people. Why not consider that?
Because if you deviate from the goal of reopening the entire government, Chuck Schumer and the radicals over there will continue to play games with people's paychecks, their livelihoods. And if you do just part of this, it will reduce the pressure for them to do all of it, to do their basic job, and that is reopen the government. This is very real and very serious, and they can end it today.
There you go. So if we fund SNAP, that will reduce pressure on them to do what they're supposed to do, which is reopen the government and allow people's health care premiums to double next year. So that's what's going on. And Miss Rachel, Miss Rachel is easily on the list for dissidents of the year. No question. I mean, just incredibly based. She posts this to her Instagram. Imagine slashing SNAP, the program that helps children in the U.S. not go hungry, while sending billions in weapons to another country to kill other children. Damn, that's good. And she adds to that on her own text. I had multiple times I was too broke to get food. I even ate free sugar packets for calories. It's nothing to be ashamed of. As a child, I grew up with a single mom who worked 2 jobs and went back to school. She raised me so well, and I even named my daughter after her. I made $13 an hour for 40 hours a week at daycare in New York City, and it was not enough to make ends meet. Taxes for helping others, not for bombing others. I pay a lot in taxes now, which I'm so happy to do, but I don't want a penny of my tax money going to kill kids and innocent people. I want it going to help people. Also, people who say they are Christian and want to cut SNAP and Medicaid, Jesus definitely said to feed the hungry, love your neighbor as yourself, and he healed the sick. I stand with the poor and the oppressed always. So that's a great statement if you're not Tim Pool. So Tim Pool quotes this. Those are the key quotes from her Instagram post and says, Miss Rachel is a demon who harms children. Keep your kids away from this shit. Wow. Miss Rachel is a demon who harms children. Keep your kids away from this shit. So Adam says, odd reaction to saying kids deserve food and water. Yeah, I think so. Duopoly Destroyer, that's Nico House, our friend Nico House, says the lack of self-awareness one has to lack in order to unironically tweet this out while regularly cheering for a genocide is absolutely mind-blowing. Jesus Christ, you're an idiot. Yes, you notice Nico House, a dad himself. Congrats. I think they just added a new one to the family
recently.
The Spectre, this guy's my favorite, though. Dude, you support people who fuck kids. Yeah, exactly. That's another thing. It's another thing to remind these people of every chance you get. She is anti-genocide, supports inclusion, love, and peace. Sit down and shut the fuck up. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you really have to take stock of just what a lowlife you are if you can bring yourself to say Ms. Rachel is a demon. Keep your kids away from this shit. Like, you really have to have sunk pretty low.
It just really shows you how much they take for granted that they have an audience of really subhuman morons. Because to feel like you don't even have to think that through. That
Right.
you could just press the buttons in the lizard brain. Yeah, she harms children. She's a demon. Keep your kids away from this shit. And that your audience just gonna, and some of them will be like, yeah, I bet you that she's into trans. I bet she's into trans.
Yeah.
I bet her kids are trans.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
Like,
What's
that's
the
what they're
thing?
relying on, like, just to speak that language of cultural offense, and you don't even have to think about the content. And they're right about some. I think that's too stupid even for the audience that Tim Pool cultivates for the most part. I think that's why she's like the Zionist worst nightmare, because it really is like going after Big Bird.
Well, yeah,
Like,
obviously.
how do you sell that?
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, and this is where, Scott Jennings, who, popularized this kind of sort of evaluation of the sort of politicking of the moment, talked about how, Democrats and liberals and the left, broadly speaking, according to him, get on the 20% side of 80-20 issues. Well, what do you call this? Like, this is either, yes. I mean, I think there's a big part of he just knows, what bottom-feeding scumbags make up his audience. But there's also, I think, a certain arrogance that because you just won a culture war last year, that you could just say whatever the fuck you want without alienating ordinary people.
Yes.
Whereas you ask 80 out of 100 people who a more sympathetic figure is, Tim Pool or Miss Rachel, I guarantee you that's an 80-20 issue you're on the wrong side of.
I think it's 90-10.
Yeah. At least. That is at least an 80-20 issue that you are on the wrong side of. But let's hear from some of those 20% right now. So, oddly enough, a woman named Rachel says, I wish Miss Rachel would tell us where in the Bible it says that the government is responsible to feeding the people.
Well, you could already see the quality of mind you're dealing with here.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Real linguist there. So KJM quotes Deuteronomy 14:28-29. At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes. Is it tithe or tithe? Tithe, right? It's like
There's one thing I know how to pronounce.
Right, it's tithes. Okay, that's a tough one. At the end of every 3 years, bring all the tithes of that year's produce to store in your towns, so that the Levites, who have no allotment or inheritance of their own, and the foreigners, the fatherless, and the widows who live in your towns may come and eat and be satisfied, and so that the Lord your God may bless you all in the work of your hands. Owned. But she comes back, where does it say the government? You didn't prove your point at all. Nice try, though. So a tithe is literally a percentage of your income.
These people are so stupid.
So stupid.
Like you don't even understand that that's the government at that time.
Yeah.
Why are you even talking about this if you have that little understanding of what you're reading?
I mean, even if you don't understand that, the fact is you are compelled by God. Right? Well, you want to talk about, that was the government at the time.
Well, yeah,
whatever.
No, but even on the splitting those hairs level, who's administering the tithes?
Right. Yeah, right. Exactly. Who are you giving the tithes to? Right, exactly. Where does it say the government? Nice try. Do you know what a tithe is? Yep. Any verses that say the government is responsible for feeding the people? No. Okay, then. Owned back.
Jesus.
So KJM, who posted that Deuteronomy verse, says, what church can feed the orphan, widower, and foreigner at scale? I pay taxes to the government. I do not pay compulsory tithes to any church. Feeding the hungry is one of the most Christian things can do. I'm happy that the government is able to provide at scale that the church cannot. So let's take it from this guy here, to be like Christ. Follow that YouTube channel, folks. We couldn't recommend this YouTube channel strongly enough. I don't know this guy's biography. He looks like a sincere Christian. He trims his beard, more Christian than I am.
Well, Jesus didn't.
Yeah, that's true. Jesus didn't. But, times change, right? So
he's trying to be like sexy Christian.
Exactly.
Sexy Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. For a modern audience. So here he is explaining this Deuteronomy verse and what a tithe is.
Tithes, verses 22 through 29. So the people of Israel were required under God's law to tithe a portion of their harvest to God. A tithe is like a percentage of what you make. A portion of that was to be dedicated to God. When they entered the land of Canaan, they were to bring their tithes to God's appointed place of worship, which we talked about a couple of chapters ago. God was going to appoint a special place where all worship was going to happen. They're supposed to bring their tithes there. But if they lived far away from God's appointed place, God made a provision for them. They were allowed to bring their tithe to God's holy place in the form of money. So they could convert it to money and bring that. That's a lot easier than bringing, a big old wagon of grain or something like that. The Israelites were reminded not to neglect the Levites who lived amongst them, because you remember the tribe of Levi was special, as we talked about in our character section. They didn't receive a land inheritance like the other tribes. So the other tribes were supposed to remember them, not to neglect them and their needs. Now at the end of every 3 years, we're told, the people were to bring their tithes to their town and to share them with the Levites, the sojourners, the orphans, and the widows, anyone in need.
Right. So they had to set aside a percentage of their harvest for anyone in need, to give to the tribe of Levi. The tribe of Levi didn't have a lot, but you know what they did have? They had good genes. Oh, that's a good one. Boom.
Like that. That's I'm gone for the rest of the show.
This whole segment was a setup for that line.
At that time, by definition, the government was a theocracy. There was no separation. Like, that's kind of the whole thing with the Bible. You see that also in Hinduism versus Buddhism. The earlier religion also has to do double duty as a government. Once you have stability, once you have laws, once you have taxes, once you have a government, then you have these religions that are more pure philosophy, that are not as concerned with what you do if your neighbor steals your chicken. Whereas both the Hindu texts and the Old Testament are very concerned with legalisms like that. There is no difference between the religion and the government. By definition, the religion is the government in the context of the Old Testament.
Well, right. But yes, but regardless of that, there's no question that Christians are compelled by God to be charitable to the poor, to give to the poor. That's pretty basic. That is pretty basic. And yes, the fact that he cited that for her, she was like, well, the government didn't say it. Yeah, but she's not the only one out there. This is something that's kind of getting around.
The rabbinate at that time would have literally been the government.
Yeah. This is somebody else here who went somewhat viral here. What is it, about 600,000 views, 444 at the time that I clipped this here. Says, I got one simple question. Fuck your feelings and just answer it simply. Where in the Bible does it say you need to go fishing or hunting and give away all your food to everybody else?
Fuck your feelings. It ain't about your feelings or your emotions. Answer the question simply. Where in the fucking Bible does it say that you're supposed to go fishing or hunting and give away all your food to everybody else? I find it in the Bible for me and show me. I need to know, because everybody making it like everybody's supposed to take care of the rest of the fucking world. It's not my job to feed your fucking family. It's my job to feed mine. I created my family. It's my responsibility to make sure my family eats, not yours. So fuck your feelings. Show me in the Bible where it says I'm supposed to feed the rest of the fucking world with my shit that I did. It ain't in it. It's not in the Bible. It's not in the Quran. It's not in any religious book that thou shalt go hunting and kill my own deer and give it to the next motherfucker because he didn't want to get
a little specific
out of
there.
bed in the morning and go hunting. No,
right.
It's not in there. So fuck your feelings. It's not my job to feed the rest of the fucking world because they don't want to do nothing. I said it.
You said it.
Where is it in the Bible that I got to find turnips, I got to wash turnips, I got to cut them into quarters, and I got to put them in a broth? I don't see that.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I would appreciate it if these fucking assholes would stop wrapping their brokenness in some sort of moral pretense. This is clearly at the rank and file level, people who are just too afraid to reckon with the reality that their enemies are their bosses. Their enemies are the corporations who they work for, who refuse to pay people a living wage, and thus are the real beneficiaries of the SNAP program. Companies like Walmart and McDonald's pay shitty wages to their employees. The executives and the shareholders keep the surplus that comes from paying such shitty wages, and those get subsidized by the government in the form of food stamps to help the employees buy food because they're not given enough money by the corporation. So these are people who are too cowardly to reckon with that fact, because to reckon with that fact would be to have to come to terms with their own powerlessness. And that's something that a lot of people don't want to do. What they would much rather do is come up with a reality in their mind that makes people less powerful than them their enemies, because they have the power to punish them in the form of shit like this. And so it's really contemptible. It's really not respectable. And on the level of the Tim Pool types, it's just straight up diabolical, because guys like Tim Pool get rich poisoning people with this hatred and this propaganda. And he picked a fight with Miss Rachel. That's one that you're never going to win in the court of public opinion. And a lot of people are going to find out when this fever breaks just how ostracized they will be from society. There's stuff we can't even show you here because it might trigger some sort of like AI censorship. But you saw a lot of like, these, blonde-haired, blue-eyed Shiloh Hendrix type influencers paint themselves in blackface and imitate black people who were upset that their food stamps weren't coming. Like, when this fever breaks, you're going to be unemployable if people know who you are. You're muted. Something happened with your mic. It got disconnected. When this fever breaks, you're going to be unemployable. Like, there are going to be social consequences for that. Not violent consequences. I would never advocate that, but social consequences. You are not going to be hireable. You are not going to be employable. You are not going to be accepted in polite society if you are filming yourself doing shit like that. And, for everybody, for this guy, like, I won't go as far as to say that for him, this is an example of the peasant mind. That is what that is. And the profiteers in this space who may not, I don't know, Tim Pool never struck me as a particularly bright guy, but he is definitely cashing in on poisoning people with this bile. And so it's really contemptible stuff. If you can help out and help get people, there's a pizzeria in town. I'll probably feature them on the next show, who's doing free personal pies for people under 18 every Monday and every Thursday. No questions asked, no proof of anything. If you're having a hard time, you need free pizza. They're giving it out a couple days a week. So people will step up. Mutual aid is important to get through times like this. But man, are these fucking people not helpful at all.
Yeah, it's partly not wanting to know. It's partly when you've never been shown how to be strong, you're going to signal weakness and call it strength. That's really what that guy's doing. That's some pick-me shit. Like, you could feel that way. Why'd you make a video about it? That's pick-me shit.
Of course.
Yeah, it's like the truck driver. I can make a list of 5 things that I do. Right.
Oh, yeah. The guy who, the Elon guy, yeah.
Yeah, you know, Elon's going to hire you as his fucking mini-me, man. He's going to sit you in a couch next to him.
Yeah, right.
Agree with that's what's going to happen. They're going to pick you. That's pick-me shit. But where they're not to blame is, look, with all of these things, with Alligator Alcatraz, with this, with Abrego Garcia, they just like corporate media. It's just like corporate media. Just like you watch corporate media, it's very clear the word came down from the people that they listen to, and they all hit the same talking points. It's the same thing with these people, man. The Trump administration and the people associated with them knew that there could be a lot of public backlash about these images that are about to start hitting your social media and the TV of hungry families. They prepared the peasant minds to be resistant to those images by getting Benny in the Closet and Tim Pool and Alex Jones and the rest of these bought and paid for shills, Eric Doherty, to all of a sudden, one after the other, start telling you, yeah, 90% of them are illegal immigrants who get these things. You know what? I believe everyone should work. Blah, 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 blah. Drill that into people's heads because they know what's coming. That's what it is. So these people, what if all of these people were actually honest and said, you know what? In the end, we all work for BlackRock. In the end, BlackRock has a stake in every company, and it's completely killed, even if you believe in capitalism, it's killed competition, because when the same company owns the 4 biggest airlines, there is no competition. They make money either way, so they're incentivized to just raise prices in all those airlines. They're not competing. That money's we're working for BlackRock, man. BlackRock has money in Google, which owns YouTube. You see them talking about venture capital buying up houses. If they did, these people would talk about it, man. They would. We saw in the Sanders campaign, right? He went up in front of the Fox audience, starts talking about healthcare. They're all cheering him. That is the point. That's why they bought all of these completely unscrupulous douchebags, including Joe Rogan, who we'll get to a little later in the show, who keep the peasant mind from understanding the bigger picture. But you are right. part of why it's easy to go along with that is how do you beat BlackRock, right?
Right.
It's so much easier
Of
to
course.
convince yourself, I'm a man, I feed my family. That's so much harder than like BlackRock, because you're not
Right.
taking down BlackRock without overthrowing the entire system. And
Right.
that's such a daunting concept. It's easier to punch down on your neighbor.
Right. It's psychologically much more
Right.
comforting.
Of course.
Right. And it is a defense mechanism against self-pity, right? Because people don't want to pity themselves, which is that is like respectable. Like it's a respectable
don't.
instinct to like not want to pity. Yeah, right. Some don't. But like generally speaking, like people don't want to feel bad for themselves and feel like their lives are shit for reasons that are beyond their immediate control, right?
Exactly.
So punching down at poor people is a way of convincing yourself, A, that I do control my own destiny because I work this many hours and I get what's mine and that's that, right? But also, punching down at poor people, it gives them an explanation for why they are where they are. That is much more comforting than thinking that they're up against this Goliath that has its boot on their neck at all times and there's nothing they can do to get them off of it. That's a very scary thing for people to accept.
Other than to risk things they don't want to risk.
Right. Yes.
You
Yep. Absolutely. All right. Let's move right on along. Russ, do you want to take some super chats? I think we were gonna divvy those up. Jake,
we're
there you
divvying them
go.
up.
There you go, Jake. Jake's got the rumble rants. My fault. I couldn't find him. I was in the wrong place. All right. Go ahead. Take some super chats.
All
first.
right. Cesar 78. FYI, talk to Jose's treasurer. Got some ideas for a run. Unfortunately, next convo is with state Dems since more structure for races. Love you guys. All right. Good luck, man. Keep us up to date.
Yep.
Christine Suozo. Russell, how many T-shirts do you own? All right. So, this is part of the show. Like, I buy T-shirts for the show. So I've rotated in a few new ones that I've ordered. I rotate out the old ones. It's basically my costume. Which is not to say I don't wear these things at home. But yeah, I don't need 50 T-shirts. Obviously, I buy them for the show.
It's wardrobe.
It's wardrobe, exactly. Brad Gilbert, Witkoff, our beef is Trump. Not good, believe me. What do you mean? Yo no comprendo. Jolly Man Big Boy, I'm nervous that Russell's going to launch into an Elon monologue that's going to give me heartburn and cause me to hate my existence. You know what? You should have put money on that because you would have won that bet, my friend.
You would have been right.
you would have been right. I think, but I did bring a lot of humor to that segment, so hopefully that'll leaven it a little bit for you. I made a lot of things for that segment. Corey Elliott, Torontonian here. Congrats, LA. Grr. Voted for Rob Ford, but if I was in NYC, I would have gone for Sliwa. I think Mamdani won't work out, but we'll see. I mean, hey, we're not Mamdani fans, but ABC, anyone but Cuomo.
Yo, that was brutal. What a brutal way to lose a World Series. I felt like Toronto outplayed them. I really did. I felt like Toronto played a great series, but man, I mean, that was what a finish. What a finish. All right, let me grab some of these Rumble rants. Hey, dirtbags. I thought that the current state of the world was the worst hellscape imaginable, but season 5 of Dawson's Creek entered that particular heart of darkness 20 years ago. Oy vey. Thank you, Hillary. Sing it with me. Everything's a scam. Everything's a lie. Everything's hypocrisy, and so I don't comply. What melody would you like us to sing that to, Vianticus? He didn't give us a tune. We know the words, though. 1978 Halloween party in Studio 54. Corn Pop dressed as king, but pocketed 8 wallets off of prominent New Yorkers due to embarrassment. None were reported stolen. Andrew L479 says North Macedonia has the best weed. Haha, good one. Thank you, Andrew.
And that's why Alexander conquered the world. Oh, man, now I'm going to get 18 more comments. Damn it.
Yeah. Nocturnal Human says, you know the thing about being 3 meals from a revolution? I hope this is it. Well, that's if you get 3 meals a day. Eric Rousseau says, look like no food, just circus. That's right. That's right. China Shell says, Keaton, you dumb commie, don't you know rule number 1 of economics is the government cannot create jobs. Also, the government should give these useless eaters jobs. Yeah, exactly. They don't create jobs. They should just give them a job or something to do. Yeah. No, that's
something like we need something new, like a deal with the people, like some kind of new deal.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah. All right, let's move on right along.
All right, so Elon made his 8th appearance on the Joe Rogan show, and things got pretty wild right from the beginning. They had a little exchange about prices that I think made a lot of people's jaws hit the floor. So let's hear that.
You party? Yeah, we might party. How much? $15? $15 for both of us. No, each you $15. Me love you long time. Me so horny. $15 too beaucoup. $5 each. Me sucky. Me love you too much.
All right, so they worked it out, fortunately. Andreessen, I guess he was in the back there, so Rogan, I don't know if he charged extra to work the grundles, but, Elon walked out of there looking a little lighter, so I think he worked his shaft pretty good, top to bottom there. You can actually hear him slobbering on it in this next segment. So they talked a little bit about why the Democrats want to continue providing benefits. Now, I think, we don't know this for sure. I'm pretty sure we hurt Joe's fifis with our Mark Andreessen segments, because after that, we started getting nailed when we would show the clips. So we have to use avatars. So listen, starting tonight, we're using our own avatars. And if anyone's, handy with AI and handy with Photoshop, no guarantees, but I'm sure we will be covering Rogan again in the future. If you want to send some possible avatars for use, we'll take a look at them. If we use them, we'll give you credit. Here, we had to rely on my own humble efforts at artistic interpretation. So here we go.
The standoff is because if the hundreds of billions of dollars to create a financial incentive to have this giant magnet to attract illegals from every part of Earth to these states, if that is turned off, the illegals will leave because they're no longer being paid to come to the United States and stay here.
Wow.
And then they will lose a lot of voters. The Democratic Party will lose a lot of voters.
And they would have a very difficult job, if this is kicked out, of reintroducing it into a new bill.
Yes.
Especially once things start normalizing.
Yes. So, in a nutshell, the Democratic Party wants to destroy democracy by importing voters. And the Republican Party disagrees with that.
And the ruse is that if you don't accept what they're doing, then you're a threat to democracy.
Yes.
As they try to destroy democracy.
Yes.
By importing voters.
That is literally what they're doing.
People to only vote for them and overwhelming the system.
Yes. And by the way, it's a strategy that, if allowed to work, would work. And in fact, has worked. California is supermajority Democrat.
Yeah.
And there's so much gerrymandering that occurs. It's crazy.
So, in a way, very often they say not having resources makes you more creative. Like they say, actually, Star Wars, the first one, has that really great gritty feel because they didn't have enough money. So I really want to thank Joe for forcing our creativity. And we're going to do a lot more of that going forward, given that we can't use the straight clips because he got his fifis hurt. So everything pretty much that they said there was bullshit. And this is why billionaires love to go on with Rogan. Because where else are they going to be able to say things like that to someone who's just going to go, wow, really? You're so smart? Tell me more. All right. So
yeah, it's like no matter what. Like, he could have L. Ron Hubbard there and say, human beings are actually thetans. Whoa.
Really? Wow. And how does that happen?
Yeah.
How does that happen? How do you get clear? How do you
Yeah,
get
how
clear?
do you get clear? And people call you crazy, you know?
People think you're crazy, but
This reminds me of when I took ivermectin. I like to mention that every 20 minutes of every episode, you know, and they called me crazy even though I wasn't.
I have a friend who, he started out, he had Coke bottle glasses, and once he joined Scientology, lighter prescription. Now he's fine. He got LASIK, but he was fine before that. He got the LASIK for good measure. All right, so let's see what the reality is. And this is worth getting into because you're seeing it's not just Elon. You're seeing a full court press from Benny in the Closet and company to convince people that, I don't know, 90% of the people getting benefits are illegal immigrants from Honduras or some shit. Okay, so this is the reality. Non-citizens, a term that covers immigrants of all status except for naturalized citizens, are generally ineligible for federally funded programs, including the Children's Health Insurance Program, Medicaid, Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SSI, and temporary assistance to needy families. If they are not refugees or in a refugee-like status and have not spent 5 years with a green card or other such status, children can access SNAP during their first 5 years on a green card. And in some states that have elected to supplement federal coverage with their own resources, children and pregnant women can access Medicaid and or CHIP during their first 5 years as legal permanent residents. Okay, understand. That's not even illegal immigrants. This is just certain states decide to fill that gap of that 5 years that even with a green card, you're not eligible for these programs. The Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for Women, Infants, and Children, or WIC, which provides nutrition assistance for young children and pregnant and postpartum women, is one of the few major public benefits programs for which immigrants are eligible regardless of immigration status. Now, if you have a problem with that, you're a sick fuck. Okay? Overall, immigrants are not eligible for these programs other than pregnant mothers and postpartum mothers. Some other programs, and that's still not illegal immigrants. That's within the green card period.
Sure.
Some other programs that provide additional support, such as Medicare and Social Security, have eligibility requirements that naturally restrict immigrant access compared to that of the U.S. born. For instance, Medicare requires 40 quarters of qualified work, about 10 years, to be eligible, in addition to legal status, and so is unavailable for some immigrants, even naturalized citizens who arrive at older ages. Unauthorized immigrants face the greatest restrictions on benefits use. Other than WIC, unauthorized immigrants are generally ineligible for federally funded supports except for emergency Medicaid, primary and preventive health care at federally qualified health centers, free or reduced school lunch, and short-term access to shelters and soup kitchens in emergency situations. Okay, so point being, Elon is saying they don't want to cut off these programs because these programs are a magnet for immigrants, in spite of the fact that these are almost impossible for illegal immigrants to get. And there is a very lengthy waiting period, even for legal immigrants, to get this program. So if you're believing capitalism, right, you probably believe in incentives. Does that sound like it would incentivize you to risk dying in a desert to get to the United States for benefits that you're almost certainly not going to get? And if you get them, it's only going to be if you find some way to become legal in this country. You're not against legal immigration, right? All these people say they're not against legal immigration. And even those people have to wait 5 years to get that, except for babies, which, again, if you're against babies being fed, you're a sick fuck, and you have bigger problems than the finer points of welfare policy.
If I could just add very quickly, because what he says is such bullshit. Just on top of on all of that, the Republicans are saying they want to reopen the government and release the SNAP funding. Like, the Republicans aren't taking a stand against SNAP. The Republicans are just saying no SNAP until you agree to double people's health care costs.
Right.
Like, the Republicans are not out there making this argument that Elon's making, which is, God damn it, the illegals are taking advantage of it. They're not saying that. So that's clearly not what the shutdown is about. Like, it's just absolute bullshit from jump.
Yeah. Elon is a South African obsessed with promoting a fake white genocide and ginning up race war in England.
Right.
Yeah, man. I think libs have, made it. It's the boy who cries wolf. If you call everyone a Nazi, then no one's a Nazi. That guy's a Nazi. That guy's a fucking Nazi. He goes on Joe Rogan because he can say shit like this, and Joe's just going to give him a rim job. He knows Joe is not going to ask him one question about what the basis for that is. On a less serious note, Elon was able to go on there and say total bullshit about his fucking Cybertruck that nobody wants to buy. Joe will not push back. Hey, I heard nobody's buying it. Why is that? Nothing. That's why they all go on. That's why Andreessen goes on. They're using Rogan to get access to his audience. That's what's so disgusting about Joe Rogan. That's what's so disgusting, because he's allowing these people to use him to get access to the kind of people that they're most determined to crush, and they're using him to neutralize any opposition they might get from working people to their actual agenda, which is essentially to make them slaves and serfs and peasants. So this is from the Cato Institute. Big Ayn Rand fans there. You want to talk about something hard to pronounce? The way you're supposed to actually pronounce it. Certainly not. There's certainly not some lefty bleeding heart organization, the fucking Cato Institute. Based on data from the Survey of Income and Program Participation, we find that immigrants consumed 21% less welfare and entitlement benefits than native-born Americans on a per capita basis in 2022. Immigrants were 14.3% of the U.S. population and consumed just 11.9% of all means-tested welfare and entitlement benefits in 2022. See all these people who are telling you it's 40%, it's 60%, it's illegal immigrants? Do you understand? They are lying to you. They are straight up lying to you. They have absolutely no respect for you. They think you're stupid. They have contempt for you. They do not want to have a beer with you. They do not want to eat with you. They do not want to know you. They want to use you, and they want to neutralize any resistance that you might have to what their real agenda is, and that is to dismantle these protections, not to take them away from immigrants. Immigrants hardly use them. From you! From you, so that if you need it, it's not going to be there. Immigrants are a very convenient way they're getting you to support tearing up a safety net that people like you tend to need. Non-citizen immigrants, including those lawfully present in the United States on various temporary visas, lawful permanent residents, and illegal immigrants, consumed 54% less welfare than native-born Americans. Okay? All right? So they use per capita less than Americans do, and on the whole, they're a little more than 10%, which is under their representation in the population. Okay, and this is the part of this that's really stupid. Really, really just obviously stupid whenever you hear this. Do you know how long it takes to become a citizen? Like, the idea that this would be something anyone would see as a viable path to electoral success, bringing in a lot of people illegally who can't even get the citizenship to begin with. But even if you tried to bring them in legally, do you know how long it takes for somebody to become a citizen? Well, let's take a look. The amount of time it takes to become a citizen from eligibility for a green card to naturalization largely depends on a variety of factors, including a person's country of birth, their pathway, and processing times at USCIS. For example, an immigrant from Mexico may be forced to wait anywhere between 5 and 25 years to become a naturalized U.S. citizen. If they're an immediate relative of a U.S. citizen, like a spouse, parent, or minor child, the total timeline is usually about 5 to 7 years. So that's optimum. That's optimum. You have a relative, so you're going to get relatively fast-tracked. That's 5 to 7 years. This includes the wait for a green card, the residency requirement, and naturalization process. You have to have residency for at least 5 years before you can even apply. By contrast, most family-based immigration from Mexico involves much longer wait times. Spouses and minor children of legal permanent residents often wait 2 to 4 years for their own green card, resulting in a total of 8 to 10 years before naturalization. Adult children and siblings of U.S. citizens face the longest delays, with visa backlogs that can exceed 20 years. When combined with the 5-year residency requirement and naturalization process, these applicants may spend 25 years or more before becoming U.S. citizens. Other immigrants face an impossible wait time just for green cards. According to a 2018 report from the Cato Institute, the processing time for certain high-skilled immigrant workers from India was 150 years. Now, I will grant you, Democrats are pretty fucking dumb. But nobody's dumb enough to build an electoral strategy around the premise that you're going to draw people here with the promise of benefits that they're extremely unlikely to get. And if they do get them, they're going to have to wait 5 years before they get them. And by the time they're able to vote, you're waiting pretty much at least 7 years, all the way up to 25 years. That doesn't sound like much of a scheme. But that's why he's on Rogan. Have you ever seen Elon Musk go talk to anybody that would ask him a hard question? Have you ever seen him do that? Have you ever seen Don Lemon asked him a hard question? That was the end of Don Lemon on X.
Yeah.
He thought he was gonna kiss his ass because he needed him, and then he asked him a couple of hard questions. Not that Don Lemon is some paragon of virtue. I think he thought he was going to be able to launch his YouTube channel off the controversy. It was very calculated. But nonetheless, that was it. Mr. Free Speech. He didn't come out the next day and say, well, I really respected that he maintained his integrity even though he's completely dependent on me for his income. No, he didn't say that. Cut him off right away. Right away. So why is he doing this? Why does he do this? Why does Elon go to England and gin up racial tensions? Why is he all over all of these culture war subjects? Why does he do that? Well, he wants to distract you because he doesn't want you looking at him. He doesn't want you looking at him. This was research that was done. This was ProPublica. They dropped a big article about how much the wealthy pay in taxes between 2014 and 2018. Elon paid a tax rate of 3.27%. That's what he doesn't want you thinking about. That's what he doesn't want you looking at. That's why he wants you thinking there's some scheme of Democrats to bring illegal immigrants here to get benefits that they're not eligible to get. That's why he's telling you that, because he doesn't want you to ask those questions, man. This is part of the problem with capitalism. Capitalism accrues in the hands of fewer and fewer people, and those people use that capital to buy up the government and to buy up the media. There's nobody to tell you the truth. There's nobody to talk about it except for outlets like ProPublica. How many people saw this article? How many people saw this article compared to how many people are reading Benny in the Closet, compared to how many people listen to Joe Rogan glaze Elon Musk for the 8th fucking time? People will say to you, well, Joey's just asking questions. That's not how people interpret that. They hear him, and he knows that damn well, going, oh, wow. And they take that as assent. They take that as agreement. It's not like he doesn't know how to disagree. He did during COVID, right? He did during COVID. He debated with a lot of people. He doesn't debate. He can do his research when he wants to. He doesn't
Well,
want
even if you remember when Dave Rubin talked about libertarianism, Rogan famously pushed back, well, if you don't have building codes, of course the, developers are going to skimp and cut corners. Yeah, no, it's not beyond him to push back. No, they want to create the illusion that you, the listener, are on their team. Because
Exactly.
the enemy
Just like
are
corporate
the
media.
right. The enemy are the hordes of woke people who want to oppress white people. And so you and Elon and Rogan are all on the same team of, free thinking people who will not have their minds infected by the woke virus or whatever the fuck, mythology they create around it.
Right. Yeah, it's a different kind of trap for a different kind of mouse.
Right.
The whole appeal of those Sunday morning roundtables, if you watch those kinds of things, even if you watch The View, it's that you're an insider, right? It's they're your pals. They're your pals talking about what really goes on in Washington, right? That's a different kind of mouse that
Right.
appeals to. The more like, yeah, I pull myself up by a bootstrap. That's who this appeals to. Same thing, man. They're funneling you all into a world where there's no limit on these people's power, and they take what little is left to the peasants for themselves, and they push the regulatory state off a cliff so that there's absolutely no one to restrain them. And this is why. With last year, and this was written in 2021, so we're talking about 2020. Last year, Tesla reported that Musk had pledged some 92 million shares, which were worth about $57.7 billion as of May 29th, 2021, as collateral for personal loans. Now, we did a whole segment about this. This is what the rich do to avoid taxes. This is why so many of these CEOs take $1 in salary and take most of their salary in stock options, because you don't have to pay taxes on that. You don't have to pay taxes on those stocks until you cash them in. That's how they wind up paying no taxes. Why do you think they take $1 salary? Because they're altruistic? They do that. It's a scheme. It's a scheme. It's the way they avoid taxes. You and me, we don't make our money that way. We don't have that option. So we have to pay taxes. With the exception of 1 year when he exercised more than $1 billion in stock options, Musk's tax bills in no way reflect the fortune he has at his disposal. In 2015, he paid $68,000 in federal income tax. In 2017, it was $65,000, and in 2018, he paid no federal income tax. Between 2014 and 2018, he had a true tax rate of 3.27%. And hey, man, it's not just Elon. Actually, he's the most taxed person in that graphic. Warren Buffett paid almost nothing, right? Jeff Bezos less than 1%. Michael Bloomberg 1.30%. This is what they don't want you talking about. And this is what I meant in the previous segment. If you had people really drilling this into working people, that this is how things work, they would talk about it. They'd be angry about it. We saw that during the Sanders campaign. He was making inroads with those kinds of people. And this is what a lot of our friends mean when they say, in the end, the liberals will always side with the fascists to stop the leftists. Right? What did they do? They could not have Sanders. They could have Trump. They could not have Sanders. They could not have that. As mild as the reforms he might have accomplished were. Same thing with Mamdani. Mamdani's got a guy from McKinsey going around to business leaders to reassure them, and they're still freaking out because they can't have that small exception to their power. They want it all. They want it all. As George Carlin said, they'll get it. Elon Musk, CFPB RIP. Why does he care about that? Why does he care about that? Li Fong, closing CFPB means rapidly accelerating the shift to app-based financial platforms with zero consumer protections. No FDIC insurance, no promises your money won't be used to speculate on crypto like Samuel Bankman-Fried. Horrible idea that only empowers predators from the tech industry. Ding, 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 ding. What did Elon Musk said when he bought Twitter? Buying Twitter is an accelerant to creating X, the everything app. What's an everything app? It's what they have in China. Alipay, WeChat. I have those on my phone now in preparation for my trip to learn how to use them. I've been going through it. Yeah, man. It's one app where you can make payments through that app with your phone. You order your Uber. It's Didi over there. You can buy show tickets. You can read news. It's an everything app. So that is why Elon is running around telling you the CFPB is woke. That's why he's promoting his criminal co-conspirator, Humpty Dumpty, Mark Andreessen, who makes his living robbing old ladies. That's why he promoted his appearance on Dick Sucker Joe Rogan's show. Forward this video to friends and family to understand just how evil the government has been. yeah. That's why. And hey, man, that's why I've shown that so many times. I'm not going to this time, but it was just that was amazing to me, man. That was when I really started to develop such a deep loathing for Joe Rogan, because I saw what he did to his listeners the next day. They're all screaming, "Take down the CFPB! End the CFPB! End it right now! End it right now!" That's fucking. You're evil to do that to people who trust you. You're evil. As somebody who doesn't have 1/1000th of the reach that Joe Rogan has, I would never do that to the people who watch us. You got to be a certain kind of person to do that.
Well, you got to be a certain kind of person to the day. And I understand they book these shows in advance, but the show is still dropping within days of people going without food stamps.
Oh, yeah, right in the middle of that.
And that's what you're going to drop right in the middle of that? Some absolute nonsense about how this is about a plot to give benefits to illegal immigrants. Like, just absolutely, has no relationship to reality whatsoever. That's what you're going to put out as people's food stamps are going to be withheld from them? Well, I mean, you're a fucking asshole at that. Like, you're just a fucking asshole.
Of course. And that is part of what we were talking about in your segment with Tim Pool. Like, these people were so used to being able to say anything and just have their fans cheer them. You know, when your fans are hungry, when your fans are dying and they can't get any health care, when their insurance premiums are quadrupling, you're absolutely right, man. Like, it's not going to go well for these people. But, you know, they're used to being able to get away with this. And Elon, it is pretty remarkable how he can just lie and just get away with it with a lot of his fans. He told you 150-year-olds were getting Social Security benefits, and people came back. A lot of articles like this were written like, no, man, it's COBOL. It's an old computer system where if they don't have the complete information, they fix a certain date, usually 1857. That's why you had. I remember they said, no, these people are getting Social Security. And they said they're going to arrest people. All right. Well, now it's almost a year. Where are those arrests? Where are those arrests of all those people who were collecting Social Security, who were 150 years old? Do you understand? They told you that so that you would attack Social Security. That's what we told you at the time. They knew Social Security is very popular. The only way you could get people to attack Social Security is to tell them it's rife with fraud and abuse, which it is not. There was absolutely no evidence for that whatsoever, and now the proof is in the pudding. Where are the arrests? These guys want to arrest everybody. These guys, that's the one thing they love the most, right? We're going to find you. We're going to find you. They didn't find these people because they never fucking existed. They never existed. It was a way of distracting you and getting you to fight against a program that you need if you're a working person. What happened with Doge? Told you it was going to save $2 trillion, dropped it to $150 billion. According to most experts, it actually wound up, he fucked the government so bad and they had to hire so many people back and turn things back on. He had turned off. It probably cost more than any savings that he might have executed. So what was it all about? What was it all about? Why did he do this? Oh, Doge went after the agencies that regulate his companies. That's what that was about. That's the only reason he gave a shit about Doge. That was literally putting the fox in charge of the henhouse, letting this guy go and start cutting agencies, including the National Transportation Safety Board. Understand, these people who die in these Teslas thinking they can drive themselves, you can't say he's not responsible for that. You know how many times he's misrepresented what these cars could do? He's using the customers as lab rats. And if some of them die, and to be fair, there's a long history of that in the auto industry. He's not the first. But understand that's what he's doing. He knows some people are going to die. He knows that shit doesn't work. He's getting data. He's giving data back to Tesla. He's like, we gotta cook some omelets before we get one of these that works. Tesla can't find legal places to store all its unsold Cybertrucks. He went on there talking about, how much better the Cybertruck is than any other truck, blah, 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 blah. Nobody wants to buy them because they suck. They suck. They can't stand up to a real SUV. They can't stand up to a real pickup truck. Multiple tests of them against Ford F-150s where they just get completely humiliated. Multiple experiments where people have just ripped the side panels off because they use some kind of glue to put it on. Multiple recalls. And hey, how did he fund all that? Like, you want to say, he built a great car company. Did he? Did he? The only reason Teslas are sold at all in this country is because they put up very high protection barriers so that BYDs can't be sold in the United States. If they could sell BYDs in the United States, that would be Tesla's already lost a lot of its customer base. It would probably lose the rest. And how did he do that? Elon Musk's business empire is built on $38 billion in government funding. He got huge amounts of government funding to build that company. So let me get this straight. Elon built his company, which, according to a lot of counts, would have gone bankrupt without the government help. So he took government help and paid no taxes. You know what that looks like? That sounds like a welfare queen. Elon is a welfare queen. This guy got money from the government and didn't pay any taxes. He's living off you. A lot more than some poor mother in Alabama getting food stamps, right? This guy's getting billions of dollars out of the government and not paying any taxes. That is what he doesn't want you thinking about. That's what he doesn't want you talking about. That is why he spends so much time sitting there. And unlike a lot of people, I believe he writes his own fucking tweets. I believe that's why they're so often 1 word, 2 words, 3 words. He's keeping it very basic. He bought this app. And in addition to wanting to make it an everything app, it's also this great propaganda tool for him. He just wants to keep people fighting and stirred up while he and his fucking class of criminals steal what's left of the people's wealth.
Yeah, obviously. And the game, on the Rogan show is to create the illusion that you're on their side because of all of these other sort of like abstract problems that class is completely divorced from. I actually listened to the first half of this interview, and, Elon goes on and on about the dangers of woke AI. What if AI is programmed to value diversity? Is that going to, demote straight white men in the algorithm or whatever the fuck? And then, they talked about the European censorship, making absolutely zero mention, of course, of all of the censorship of the anti-Israel protesters over there, because they don't want that complicating their narrative. In other words, these are lies of omission, and lies of omission are easier to get away with than the lies of commission, although he was able to do that just fine there with the whole, rationale for the shutdown, which was completely detached from reality. But yeah, they just want to create a world where it is the woke mind virus zombies, versus the red-pilled, free-thinking white people mostly. Let's be honest. And that way, they are on the same team as their audience, even though they make more money in a week than their audience will ever touch in their lives.
In a day.
Yeah, in a day. Well, yeah, if you count Elon. Yeah, exactly. In a day. Right. But they want you to think you have something in common with them, right? And it's your neighbor who's woke, who's trying to control you.
Interest with Elon Musk,
right? Exactly.
Because if they, and this is why I keep saying woke and anti-woke, it's just 2 different traps for 2 different types of mice. They are both designed to keep you talking about everything except the reason why they have that much money, and most people have so little.
Right.
Anything to avoid that on both sides. They both do it. It's two different styles. There's a certain kind of person who goes for one kind of virtue signaling. Oh, yes, I marched in the Pride Parade with my kids. And there's a certain kind of person. I threw a rock at the people marching in the Pride Parade, and that's it.
Right.
That's designed for those two types. It's the same shit. It is all about keeping the pigs fighting in the mud while these people live in the castle.
Yep, 100%. All right, let's move on here. Nina Kant says, I'm not seeing either a party growing a heart to feed people. Thank you, Nina. Vianticus Prime says, so they had to bring their tithes to God. Then one day people understood the etymological origin of the word God. Eric Cusso says, where on the Bible it says to support a state doing genocide? That's right, Eric Cusso. My name is Earl, says showbiz kids making movies of themselves. They don't give a fuck about anybody else. Thank you. Vito, thanks for the $50. Let's have a cowbell for Vito. Thanks, Vito. Appreciate that very much. Says, I started out as a kid myself. Save all the children. Cancer sucks. You all rock. Thank you, Vito. E.O. Shush says, nowhere in the Bible did Jesus ever say to feed the poor, but Jesus did say repeatedly to suppress your gay urges and to overcompensate by being extra homophobic. That's right. Yeah, exactly. Good one, E.O. Shush. Appreciate you citing that. Vianticus Prime says, I got bored and made a bunch of t-shirt designs. Here's what I stuck with for myself. I want to add it to your collection, Russ. Oh, thanks you for the Vianticus Prime Creator Spring. Oh, all right, we'll have to check out that link. See what you came up with, Vianticus. Here's the tune for you, Keaton. All right. Thank you. I will have to click on that. Thank you, Vianticus. Appreciate that very much. We are at 2,700 strong in the YouTube chat. That is good for one of these. In the year 2525. And 891 in the like column. All right, you want to knock out some super chats?
Let's do it. Dorian Marquise. Again, J.D. Vance survived via grandma's welfare. That's right. P.S. Love the shirt, Russ. Need one. Hashtag Justice for Palestine. Thank you. Yeah, I like this one. There's one more I ordered that was supposed to come days ago, and they haven't delivered it, and the text updates are still like to be delivered. That's a chiller shirt. If you're Gen X, you'll know what I'm talking about. Brad Gilbert. Come on, go easy on Tim Toole. He needs that 7,000. Yeah, man. I mean, where's he getting the money to fly people? When you do his show, they fly you out to the studio. They put you up in a hotel. He built a skate park. They're good. I think he's getting the big money from the Israelis, man. I think he's getting more than 7,000. The neurodivergent Sufi. Wow. All right. Thank you. And one more. I am an American Sufi mystic Muslim raised Catholic, and I embody the teachings of Jesus, still my hero, more than most American Christians. My friend, I am sure that is true. Steve McNelly, that's for the genes. Love a good dad joke. Christ on a bike. Yeah. Free Palestine. Well, I feel a little better about it now that we got paid for it.
Yeah,
all right,
$20. Your shirt pulled in too. My joke pulled in 20. So far I'm in the lead.
Do you want more? Or do you want to
take one or two more? I'm loading in a couple of things here.
Okay.
All
right. Brad Gilbert. All are closer to being on Snap than in the big club. Exactly. Well, that's why Rogan's like that, man. Who does he have more in common with at this point? Elon Musk or the poor bastards who listen to his show? That's whose side he's on. Those are his people. Andreessen, Musk, that's his people now. J.A. Let's go Dodgers. Suck it, Keaton.
There you go. Congratulations.
Look at
said that to
in
start
your
the show.
Face, Weiss.
Very gracious. Yep, I was very gracious.
Nick Wesley. Just give Elon the mic. Rogan not needed, right? Yeah. Right. Exactly. Wait, how is that an that's not an interview. That's an around the world job.
Right. Yeah, exactly. All right. I think we're good. I think we can move right on along. Folks, please smash that like button, smash that subscribe button. Got a great crowd in here tonight. 2,700 strong on YouTube, 978 filing in over on Rumble. All right, folks. So this is a somewhat quick piece, but I did want to do this because there's been a lot of talk recently about, pro-Israel influencers getting paid, up to $7,000 per post, and that has created a conversation about, how organic support for Israel is within the United States, because it seems like they throw a whole lot of money at people to create propaganda for them. Well, Norm Finkelstein had an interesting story that he shared with Candace Owens about this very thing. This was back a couple of years ago now, in response to his debate with Destiny. So here are some juicy details that he shares with Candace Owens about how that debate came to be, and it did have to do with, according to Norm, Destiny getting paid handsomely by a pro-Israel advocacy group to debate Norm Finkelstein. So let's take a look.
Very shortly into October 7th, I'm asked to do a debate, and I said, fine, by Lex Fridman. He asks me to do a debate. And I said, who do you want me to debate? He said, this thing called Destiny. I didn't know what that person was. This thing called Destiny.
Got a date with Destiny.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You are my destiny. I don't claim to a distinguished academic pedigree, but at this point in my life, I'm not debating a thing called destiny. So I said to Lex Fridman, thanks, but no thanks.
Thanks, but no thanks.
By the way, I didn't know who Lex Fridman was either. I don't follow podcasts or things like that. I'm a book person.
Come to me when you have a more serious request. You're going to ask me to debate the Cookie Monster next? No, thank you. I have better things to do with my time.
Old-fashioned. And then he gets back to me about 3 weeks later, and he says, how would you like to debate Benny Morris? I said, sure. Benny Morris is Israel's senior historian. I know his work very well, and it would be exciting for me, actually, from an intellectual level, to actually face him, because I had written a lot on him. And then Lex Fridman says, and Destiny.
Ah.
I'm wondering, why are you harping on Destiny?
Clever businessman, that Lex Fridman. He says, well, I'm going to give you the serious debate opponent. I'm going to lure you in with that. And then I'm going to say, oh, yeah, by the way, Destiny's going to be there.
By the way, the clown is going to be
right
in the debate.
He has a debate partner. It's a blue-haired clown.
This random streamer.
Yeah, it was
so strange.
It was strange. Exactly. It was so strange. I then thought to myself, if I refused, then it would look like I'm afraid to debate Benny Morris, because he's Israel's senior historian and very smart. He knows his stuff, for sure. And I didn't want that to be broadcast far and wide, Finkelstein afraid to debate Benny Morris. So I said, okay, if he wants to come along with Benny Morris, this thing called Destiny, I said, okay, I'll do it. And I said, I'll debate with my good friend, very smart guy, Muin Rabbani.
See, that does explain why that took shape the way it did, because it always seemed weird watching that debate. It's like, okay, you got Benny Morris versus Finkelstein. Then you got Muin Rabbani, who's also a very serious, scholarly guy. And then you got this little chihuahua there sitting there chirping. And that also explains why Norm was so annoyed at his presence, because he got fucking tricked into debating him by Lex Fridman.
Well, and it's just, look, I mean, Norm, I love him. He definitely is one of those academic snobs. And he has no patience for shit like that.
Right.
Like, get the fuck out of here. Man. Like, I'm supposed to deign to acknowledge you.
Right. Because what did he say? Stop broadcasting that you're a moron. Why don't you just shut up?
Top of the line, and we have the same political outlook. So why do I mention it? A few months later, I'm having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he says to me, Destiny was paid to be on with you. I said, no, nobody told me that. He said, yeah, he was, and he described it, because he was discreet, he described it as a Israel advocacy group, had groomed him to debate me, and had, I'm using the words he said, paid him handsomely.
Okay, wow. Wow. Okay, so I think it's important to clarify and drive home. Lex Friedman didn't pay Destiny.
Right.
Destiny was paid by a third-party pro-Israel advocacy group.
Makes a lot of sense.
To debate Norm Finkelstein. Of course, yeah. Of course.
Like, he's not even Jewish. Why would Destiny pick this?
Right.
Take that side of it and go so far as he has. Go
Exactly.
so far at a moment when this is a toxic position to have, and go to IDF soldiers and tell them just don't take pictures of your war crimes unless he's getting paid a lot of money.
Right, right. And that's why, look, Norm, he sniffs people out. Like, because he is such a serious academic, he'll sniff you out if he senses that you're a charlatan. That's why he kept saying,
Right.
"You look it up on Wikipedia," because he can tell when you've crammed
Right.
for the test, right? A
Right.
good professor can tell when you've crammed for
Right.
the test. And now it makes perfect sense. Okay, he got paid a bunch of money to debate Norman Finkelstein, right? So he had to be a quick...
So he looked up some talking
Right, he had to be a quick study, as they call it, right? He had to look up some quick factoids and search some Wikipedia articles to, get through however many hours they went there, right? Now, it makes sense. So a guy like that gets paid a bunch of money to take that position and debate Norm Finkelstein. Now, whether he got paid to take that position is speculation on my part. It's well-founded, I believe, because that is, as you said, that's a toxic position to take. And out of nowhere, this guy goes so hard for Israel. And now, it's amazing to think that debate was almost 2 years ago, but it was. Now, 2 years later, we found out he got paid to do it.
It makes it all fall into place because Destiny never made sense to me. It never made sense to me. This guy's not Jewish. Like, people who think like that are always either paid or they were brainwashed from childhood or both. Like a random not Jew to be that extreme, to be out on the extreme edge of Zionism, like they're not a politician where they're going to destroy you if you don't take that position. Like, he's not a politician, he's not a Jew. Yeah, you're getting paid. There's no way you would just arrive at those positions organically on your own.
Right.
To debate me. And it's an unimpeachable source. By the way, the person who told me this is not political at all. Just by coincidence, he could say with absolute certainty, and I know it. Why do I mention it? Because at that time, this was like this first month into October 7th, it was a kind of a revelation. But now we're 2 years later. We're 2 years later. In the time that's elapsed, not one, not two, three Ivy League presidents were toppled. There's never been, I know the history of academic freedom in our country, I've written on it. There's never been anything like it. When President McGill...
Okay, so this was a couple of minutes later, and I just skipped ahead for time, but he's talking about one of the Ivy League presidents.
...was deposed from the University of Pennsylvania. Right. A person approached her who knew her to express commiseration with her situation. And she replied with 2 words, money talks.
I can speak to that. I mean, I've lived it, and that is the first thing that happens, which is financial blackmail. And a lot of people want to know, well, why is this person doing this, or why are they not saying it? And like, at the end of the day, they let you know you'll lose everything. And some people go, well, it's not risk. I'd rather just toe the line so that I can keep life as I know it. And so, yeah, the majority of people are facing that. They have families to feed, and they don't know how to restart because in most circumstances, it's all they've ever known. Right. So you're talking about someone who's maybe been in the academia for a very long time, and they're going, not only will we forcefully kick you out, we'll also slap a tag on you and call our friends in the media, like a Barry Weiss when she was at New York Times, to smear you and libel you as an anti-Semite. And so you're asking for a type of bravery that I would say most people don't have. And they just go, I'm going to shut up. But the answer to that for people that are listening is take your kids out of the schools. You don't need these schools. I mean, what is the upside? You're paying an absolute fortune for your children to go to debt. The system is rigged anyway, right? You think they're going to have the same jobs they want their children to go on. What does it say about our society that Norm Finkelstein can achieve tenure, but an admitted child rapist like Jeffrey Epstein had a office at Harvard University? Like that wasn't what caused the billionaire backlash, which would have made sense. We're all pulling our money unless you get this person who doesn't have any sort of an academic career, by the way, off of our campus. No, and this was after he admitted and served time in jail. Jeffrey Epstein still had an office at Harvard University campus. And that's why I say to people, that's a Mossad operation, no matter which way you look at it. Harvard University, in my view, is running a Mossad operation. But again, don't want to get lost in another tangent. You are absolutely correct that that is a stunning example of how the mechanics are when we're speaking about their system of financial blackmail.
Well, yeah, it's financial bribery in the case of finding these influencers to parrot their talking points. And on the other end of it, yeah, of course, it is financial blackmail and the threat of ruin. And that's why, like one thing people can do now, because, yeah, look, it is true that, and it is strange to think back on, that Destiny debate, which was almost 2 full years ago. Now they are just very, very open about the fact that they're paying people. It's very obvious who is on the take from Israel. Netanyahu's now meeting with influencers themselves. Like, as they become more and more desperate, their whole grift just becomes more and more transparent. But, what people can do now, because, now we are entering an era, even 2 years out from October 7th, where they are just really ramping up the censorship to the point where now they're just openly buying up media outlets. You got, fucking Larry Ellis, he's talking about now Warner Brothers, HBO, right? He's already got TikTok, CBS. We're also living in an age where people can access people directly easier than ever before through mediums like this, through mediums like Substack, which is a great tool, through member supporting, through, member-based platforms like Patreon and Locals. And so, like, people who are academics, who have a certain pedigree, who have a certain knowledge base and a certain skill set and a certain network, they can take advantage of that by getting set up at their own shop. I think that's a good way to insulate yourself from some of these consequences, because one of the strategies has to be to just make yourself uncancelable. So that when they blackmail you like this, when they threaten to ruin your career, the way they did to Norm Finkelstein, he was denied tenure because of a smear campaign by Alan Dershowitz. But because he is who he is, because he has such integrity and he has such a connection to his following, he was able to survive it. Now, not everybody is as not everybody has that kind of it factor that Norm has. Norm is a very unique guy, very entertaining, right, very compelling. But people can and should find ways to make themselves uncancelable, right? Even if it starts out as a hobby. If you're a professor, if you're an anti-Zionist academic, you should start a Substack and just start writing. Even if it's just a hobby for now, so that in case they drop the hammer on you, you got something set up. Because we are in an age where that is possible. It's very hard, but it is possible, and that's one way that people can protect themselves from this kind of thuggery, which is, of course, only going to get worse.
Something that I noticed, I'm not going to know for sure until I go overseas. I'm going to later in the week be doing a story about these Israeli colonies, essentially in Thailand, and how there's a lot of backlash. When I was doing the research for it, they were talking about websites that I could not find. And all the articles mentioned it. And I'm wondering, did they firewall that here? Did they make the platforms here take those down? Anything with that name in it? It seemed that way, because I would see videos in news clips that had covered it from like Turkey, but I couldn't find the video. And I can always find the video. I do this professionally. I can always find it. Couldn't find it. So I said, maybe over there, because certain movies you can't stream here or there. You have different rules. I'm wondering if a firewall is going to lift when I go over there, and I'm going to find out there are things they're blocking. But yeah, this is why Ellison is buying up all of these media outlets. That's why he's buying TikTok. I tend to think in the end it's going to be whack-a-mole. You can't shut down all the world's speech about this subject, especially when the vast majority of the world does not agree with that position. But the vast majority of the world does not agree with the Zionist position. And the BRICS countries have become a bigger part of the world economy. And the BRICS countries are pretty solidly pro-Palestine. So you're just going to wind up. I mean, that's how it looks. That's where it looks like it's going. That you're going to wind up with America being a kind of Zionist firewall country, where certain things are not available here or are only available in niche outlets. Like, it would not surprise me at all if eventually the hammer drops on YouTube. So far, it is not. At the same time, man, they promote certain things and not others.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's where you get de facto state censorship, right? When China blocks content, we say that's state censorship,
Right.
and that's getting close to what you could have here, especially when you got guys like Larry Ellison, who is now, I believe, the richest man in the world. I think he passed Elon. I think he's actually number one.
He did, yeah.
Right. So when Larry Ellison owns such a huge portion of the media, that may as well be state censorship if they start blocking things from being visible.
Right, of course.
Right. And so there's all sorts of mechanisms of control.
Like, what's the difference?
That they exercise. Yeah, of course. Well, yeah, there is no difference, functionally speaking. Right. So that was a cool interview that they did. I watched about the first half of it. I didn't get all the way through. But I mean, a lot of that interview is, him going over, just kind of the basics, which she wanted him to do to introduce that to her audience in case they weren't versed on it. But yeah, I mean, he talks about the career sacrifices that he has made throughout his life to, advocate for this side of the conflict, which is something that has been very difficult to do for a long time and remains very difficult to do. And even now, look at what you're up against, right? That you don't even realize you're up against, right? He said they groomed and paid Destiny a handsome sum of money to debate me. Why do they fucking care so much? Like first of all, it just tells you how deep their pockets are, that they could afford to just throw money at a kid to fucking debate Norm Finkelstein. It also shows how committed they are to maintaining this narrative, that they're willing to pour all of this money into it. And now, dude, so pretty nakedly, right? I mean, they're not hiding it anymore. Now it's out in the open. Okay. Let's see here. Yep. Finkelstein on Candace was a fun interview. Yep. Just showed you some of it, Eric Rousseau. Will Smith has won the World Series for 6 years in a row. Thanks, Eric Rousseau. Congratulations. Stoop sign says, ICE went through my mom's neighborhood and pointed a gun at her neighbor and maced another. Jesus, that's horrible. In Chicago, we have ICE whistles. Fuck that.
I saw that.
Wow.
We didn't get to it. There were some, out of Evanston this week. Those were some crazy videos, man.
Yeah, I didn't see. I don't know if I saw one of the ones that you sent me. But thank you for that. China Shell says, to be a right-winger, you don't have to know shit about anything. Listen to those fundamentally ignorant statements. No facts, no analysis. It's just pure vibes. Right-wing politics has always been feels. Well, yeah, it's always based in a certain grievance, right?
Right.
I mean, it is grievance politics. Oh, Joe, you dirty bitch, work the shaft. Thank you, China Shill. Appreciate that. 5 to 25 years to become a citizen. Better off campaigning in prisons. Thank you, Eric Rousseau. Says, I'm not woke, I'm not anti-woke, yet I am broke, but identify as anti-broke. Yeah, good one, Eric Rousseau. I think you've told us that one before. Good one. God, I can't stand this whole app on your phone bullshit. It needs to fucking die horribly. Excuse me.
If I want to go to China, that's how you pay for everything. From what I'm reading, they've pretty much gone cashless.
Yeah. I think you need the app for like everything, pretty much.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Joe Rogan used to make people eat bugs on TV. We should have known what kind of person he is since then. Thank you. Vianticus Prime says, I'm still waiting for the 3 million people to be arrested that Trump claimed voted illegally in 2016. Good one, Vianticus. Appreciate that. All right, you want to take some super chats?
All right. We got Jim Taleb with a super sticker. Thank you, Jim. Andy Gardner. Rogan has some good whoas and reallys for your updated soundboard. It would be used, I assure you. I'm sure it would be. You know what else we got to put on the soundboard? You've never been. We got to put you've never been on there.
Yeah, that would be a good one.
Eric Suarez, yeah, me and you, man, we got to sit down maybe one day this week on a day off and update the soundboard. We got to talk over what we want.
Yeah.
Eric Suarez, Afrikaners, Nazis, Zionists. The only difference is the name. Yeah, we did a little segment on that. There was a video from an interview. All these guys have ties to South Africa, man. Elon Musk, David Sachs, the crypto czar for Trump, Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel grew up in a town that they still said Hail Hitler in. Into like modern times. There was all these transplanted Germans who went there. And no, I mean, when you say these guys are Nazis, it's really not an exaggeration. They're
Well,
fucking
to be a real
not. They're
estate agent in that town.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Maya Shamsi. Okay. All right. Huge fan of the show. Can you tell me what you don't like about Rogan's show? I mean, kind of covered it in that segment. I watch it all the time. I don't agree with everything they say, nor do I get my news facts from it. But Joe seems like an honest guy with no agenda. I don't know where you got that from if you watched that Elon interview or if you watch his interview with Mark Andreessen. The best that you could say about Joe Rogan is that he does not give a fuck about the consequences for his audience of the people that he allows to use him to manipulate his audience. That's the best thing you could say about him. I'm actually giving him more credit than that because we've seen him be thoughtful before he got the big Spotify contract, before he made all that money. I've speculated, hey, man, if you're as big as Rogan, you probably have to serve somebody. You probably do, or they'll fucking destroy you. And that's who he serves. But yeah, I mean, to sit there and let criminals, literal criminals like Mark Andreessen, come on and manipulate his audience into being furious about the CFPB, which is there to protect them from predators like Mark Andreessen, to protect them from people like Elon Musk, to not give a shit what the consequences of that are. As somebody who does this for a living, albeit with a much smaller reach, I cannot express the level of contempt I have for the idea that you would have that many people watching your show and care so little about what happens to them. So that's my answer.
You know, it's funny with Rogan. I used to be like, you know, because when people asked if I was like a fan of his, I used to say, well, not really, but I'll listen if he has like an interesting guest on, right? And now I feel like I'll listen if he has a boring guest on or a guest on who's of no consequence. Like I listened to the Charlie Sheen episode because, yeah, I mean, yeah, all right, if Charlie Sheen's gonna come on and tell stories about his days of getting fucked up in Hollywood, like fine, like that's pleasant. He's a good interviewer, like that's a pleasant time, whatever. Like you're not gonna. You know, first do no harm, right? You're not gonna do any harm with that. So like whatever.
Right.
But now if it's like a politically like interesting figure, I'm almost like I don't want to listen to Rogan interview that person. That's how bad he is at it. Like he's good at talking shit with you know, guys like Charlie Sheen about getting fucked up and banging broads in Hollywood. But you know, beyond that, I mean, there's just no use for him anymore, really. I mean, it is a shitty thing to do. Not to repeat myself. To the day the fucking food stamps are going to be withheld or whatever, or the day before the food stamps are going to be withheld from 40 million people, you have a guy come in and lie about how, no, the shutdown is about illegals not getting benefits. Like, it's just complete misdirection.
Yeah, I think he's done a lot of harm to the people who listen to him. And we didn't used to feel that way. Like, we weren't always Rogan haters. He changed. Like, over time, he got more and more servile to these Silicon Valley oligarch types, and the interviews he gives them are just a fucking it's a disgrace. It's just a disgrace that he will let them go on and just fucking lie like that. And he doesn't just let them lie, he sells it. He sells it because when you're going, really, how does your audience hear that?
Right,
you're agreeing. That's how they hear that. It's not even like he's doing like total boring neutral Lex Friedman. He's not doing that. Then maybe you could make an argument he's just being an interviewer. I would still say a horribly unprepared one. But no. he sells what they're saying with his reactions.
All right, folks. Hey, I just want to take this brief game break to tell you about our longtime dissident sponsor now. His name is John Koa, and he's dropped a new album here, A to Z Songs from the Tape Deck. The Boy in the Bubble is a new single from that forthcoming album. Some lyrics keep unfolding long after they are written, indeed. The Boy in the Bubble, great Paul Simon tune, where he does a great cover of that song. We played it when we switch over to Rumble every once in a while, and we'll be featuring it more in the days and weeks to come. First listens of these new tracks land here at the New Dissidents show. We have previewed The Boy in the Bubble. We've also previewed his original song, Just a Little Off the Rails, and his Bob Dylan cover, Not Dark Yet. So we will have more tunes to preview in the coming days and weeks, but you can find the link to this song and all the others off of his forthcoming album that he's released so far at dudissidents.com/Koa. That takes you to a landing page where you can access all of his social links, Spotify, Apple, or YouTube. youtube.com/@John Koa is the YouTube channel if you'd like to go there directly. So please do support our dissident artists who help us produce the show. All righty, we can move right on along.
All right, we are coming into the home stretch of the NYC mayor's race, and a new poll's out that has the billionaires and the Zionists very excited, but very angry at one Mr. Curtis Sliwa. What the fuck is your problem, bro? Here from Milo. The New York City mayor poll. This is one poll, by the way. It's they'll take what they can get. So Zoran at 40.6, Cuomo at 34, Sliwa at 24.1%. So when this poll came out, they got all agitated again about Curtis Sliwa still being in the race. Bill Ackman, vote, sharing the same poll. Friend of show, Michael Rappaport.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Curtis Sliwa either hates New York or hates Andrew Cuomo so much that he's willing to fuck the whole city just to prove a point. Do you really want to fuck the entirety of NYC, Curtis Sliwa? You're not winning. You know you're not winning. You're not even coming in second. But hey, you do get to keep roughly $1.5 million in donation money, right? $1.5 million ain't bad for pissing away the city you claim to love with guardian angels like Curtis Sliwa. Who the hell needs enemies? Ooh, burn right there. And the New York Post editorial board. Swallow the bitter pill, Curtis Sliwa. Quit the race to stop Zoran Mamdani.
Ooh, the editorial board.
The editorial board, the oh so serious. Post
Yeah, I would love to get an interview with the
board.
New York Post editorial board.
Yeah, it's probably the same crew that was out there with Rosenberg last week.
The Staten Island VFW regulars. They probably edit the paper at a Staten Island VFW hall.
Stop the socialist pack. Curtis Sliwa can't win, and every day he stays in the race. Help Zoran Mamdani's socialist agenda. Republicans need to unite behind Andrew Cuomo to save New York from disaster. Now, it's been said many times, no need to belabor it, but it is pretty amazing because all of these people absolutely tore Andrew Cuomo apart for killing, or rightly so, for killing old people with his corruption by sending them to nursing homes after getting a legal bribe from the hospital lobby. But now, you got to vote for Cuomo. Got to vote for Cuomo. Now, as Sliwa put it rightly, we featured this in a clip that Keaton did. Sliwa said, why can't Cuomo go get his own votes? Why doesn't he go get his own votes? Why does he need my votes? That's democracy. Well, this is probably why he can't get his own votes. Here's one example of why he can't get his own votes. This appearance on MSNBC.
That's to correct the record if you didn't mean to say, but it sounded like you said diversity can also be a weakness. What did you mean by that?
Diversity can be a weakness if you have antipathy among groups, Jonathan. If you have racism.
He mixes up the black guys.
But yeah, y'all look alike to me.
Oh, well, let me tell you something, Antoine. I'm glad you asked. Thanks for the question, Tyrone. I'm Eugene. Oh, so if there's antipathy among groups, the diversity can be a weakness.
It's this is why I'm introducing my new plan. You know, in the old days, we did have whites only neighborhoods, but that also meant you had blacks only neighborhoods, and everyone got along very well then. So I'm putting together a committee to explore that possibility. And here's another banger from him. So all of the scum of the earth that you've never heard of, these obscure council people and assembly people, are coming out like cockroaches to stand up for Andrew Cuomo. So this was very reminiscent of the Rick James. I think I know better than to mess up your couch. Yeah, I rub my boots on his couch. This is pretty much what Cuomo does right here.
He's a communist, an anti-Semite. He has no idea what he's doing.
Governor Cuomo, do you believe, as the council member said, that Mamdani is an anti-Semite and a communist?
I don't think the council member said that. Anti-Semitism is a problem in New York City.
Oh, she wasn't supposed to say that.
That's unavoidable. I mean, that's provable, documentable.
I don't believe she said what she literally just said, standing 6 inches away from me, because it's very inconvenient that she said that. This is the problem.
Don't mind this who was standing to my left.
This
She does not speak for the campaign.
This is the problem with being such a piss poor candidate, that this is the only quality of endorsement you can attract. So I don't know why he thinks these AI ads are killing it, because I haven't seen him put one out that he didn't get mocked for. So he put out one of these AI Halloween ads now.
Trick or treat.
Aren't you a little old to be trick-or-treating?
Not according to my job resume.
And where's your costume?
Duh. I'm a socialist. Hey, man, just one piece of candy.
You see, it's not a racist ad. It's an
Yeah.
interracial couple. See? We're not racist. See?
Per trick-or-treater. Oh, I'm so sorry. I need to take 52%. For what? For the government.
You can't be serious.
Okay, now, at first I watched this and I said, well, they're obscuring the fact that this is just for the richest people. Then again, if you're living in that townhouse in New York, you might be paying that 2%, and you should.
Oh, yeah.
Like, if that's your house in New York, yeah, you might be in that income bracket, so that's fair enough.
What's wrong with you?
Go away! Defund! This is insane. You are ruining Halloween.
Yeah. And I'm about to ruin New York City if you make me mayor. See, I'm a socialist. Some people need to get tricked, so others get a treat.
God, that guy was crazy.
Socialists are terrifying.
Wow.
Sir, we told you to go away.
What?
Relax. It's just me,
Oh my
Curtis
God.
Sliwa, the red beret guy running from there with no shot of winning.
Then why are you dressed like that other guy?
Because at this point, I'm so far behind.
A vote for me is a vote for Mamdani.
And that's the scariest thing of all this Halloween.
Anyway, I hope you guys have enough candy. Each of my cats is dressed up as a different cat from the musical Cats.
I'm voting for Cuomo.
Same.
Come on, let me in. My cats are hungry.
Paid for by Cuomo for NYC.
Oh, does Cuomo sexually assault her at the end of the ad? That would be a good ending.
They're waiting for election day to drop the sequel.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it is incredible how propagandized Americans are. socialism, 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 socialism. Just keep saying socialism. Socialists are scary. They're going to take away from one to give to the other. All right, well, you're in a city now where 1 in 7 school children is homeless under the kinds of policies that Cuomo represents. This is what they don't understand. This is why this is not working. And most of the people are screaming, he's a communist, he's a socialist. If you ask them what that means, they would have absolutely no idea. And this is how that's functioned since the Cold War, right? They just use it to intimate all of the dark fantasies that you might have of a totalitarian state. They just kind of leave it to your imagination. But when people really don't have anything to lose, that's not effective. That's why Mamdani's winning. They speak as if they're speaking from a position of a good record. They have nothing to run on. That is why people are turning to socialism. That's particularly younger people. What the fuck are you offering them? What are you offering them? A world where venture capital owns the shitbox that they rent, that they can't afford to own, with lousy maintenance and low regulations? That's what you're offering them? Of course they're turning to socialism.
Yes, obviously. And it's just the whole jockeying for position here and the insistence that, Slee would drop out and back Cuomo. It's so interesting because, the last few cycles, there's been this, I'll say internecine fight on what, broadly speaking, constitutes the American left, where, progressives, after being screwed over in the primaries or denied a primary entirely in the case of 2024, when they threaten to not vote at all or vote for a third party, what do the Democrats do? They insist that, no, we, the Democrats, are your natural ally, and so you must team up with us to beat the Republican. Well, look at what's happening right now. They're telling the Republican, you have the Democrat, Andrew Cuomo, who's running as an independent because he lost the primary, but he is a Democrat. He's been a lifelong Democrat. After losing the primary to the socialist, the Democrat insists that the Republican drop out and back him. Why? Because Democrats and Republicans are natural allies against the left.
Exactly. We don't usually fuck with the serfs, but this was well done. He uses AI videos for ads because it's another way to violate people's consent.
Yeah.
Well done. Well done, guys. So what was Mamdani, in contrast, doing on Halloween night? What ad did he put out? You want to understand why Mamdani is winning? You couldn't do better than to look at the joyless ad that Cuomo put out, the really creepy ad, but not in the intended way that Cuomo put out, this very dark, negative, ugly ad. And this is what Zoran put out.
We got Curtis Sliwa over here. We got Zoran Mamdani. Hello. And we got Andrew Cuomo. We're going with these streets.
I love New York.
I love New York too.
And remember, the name is Mamdani.
You heard it here first. You heard it here first. Everybody!
All right. So which ad is fun? Which ad makes you like the candidate? Cuomo didn't even appear in that.
Right. Yeah. No.
He's out. He's with the people. He's hanging out with kids. He looks like he's having fun. The tale of those two ads has pretty much been the tale of the campaign. And that's not an endorsement of Mamdani. I'll get a little bit into this in the next segment. Mamdani's got people from Obama world and Clinton world in that campaign. He's got a guy from McKinsey kind of acting as his envoy to big business and corporations. I mean, anyone who thinks this guy's going to come in and be some kind of bomb-throwing radical is going to be very, very disappointed. But that in and of itself is very telling that they are going this berserk about this, very much like with Sanders. There's really what would be considered a centrist in any Western country. The Palestine position accepted because all the Western countries are bought out by the same Zionist interests. But other than that, in terms of his economic reform, I mean, he'd be a right-winger in most of Europe. Like, these are just very, very, very basic economic reforms. It's about power and control. You're talking about a class of people that know that they have been picking the pockets of the public for decades, and they live in terror of the pitchforks coming for them. And any little loosening of the control they have over perception scares the shit out of them, man. It scares them. It scares them to have one little thing get out of their control, and that is why they're so determined to crush this, because they're afraid, well, this guy becomes mayor, then maybe somebody who's more serious about reform becomes governor, and then maybe somebody who's more serious becomes president, and then maybe they tax us 90% like in the old days. Maybe that's where that goes, or worse. Maybe we see the pitchforks coming up the road. As Mark Blythe, it's Mark Blythe who said the Hamptons is not a defensible position. You there?
Oh yeah, I'm there. No, sorry, I thought you were mid-sentence. I thought it was that. Is that everything? Is that all you had?
That's what I got.
Yeah.
That's what I got.
Sorry, it sounded like you were mid-sentence there. No. Yeah, I mean, look, they are pulling out all the stops now. They are doing absolutely everything that they can. You have seen the sort of paranoia in overdrive now. It's going to be a very interesting night on Tuesday. Because look, I won't tell you that that Cuomo has zero chance. Right now, what you have to hope for, if you're the Cuomo campaign, is that there's a hidden Cuomo vote of Republicans who would never tell a pollster they're going to vote for Andrew Cuomo because he's so toxic, but in the privacy of a voting booth, go ahead and pull the lever for Andrew Cuomo to stop the scary Islamist, right? I'm not going to tell you there's a 0% chance that will happen. There's a greater than 0% chance that that'll happen. Would I be shocked if he lost? No, but I would be surprised. I would be very surprised. I mean, that would be a major upset. That poll that comes out, I think that was the Atlas Intel poll, which had a great reputation in 2024, and so that's what has some of Cuomo world pretty excited. But, you have other polls that show Mamdani up 15, 20, 25.
That's what I'm saying. It was one poll, and even if it's accurate, he's still down.
Right.
Like, generally, elections will tighten as you get closer to election day.
Yes. And obviously, in a case like this, where the Republican really has no chance, yes, there's going to be some consolidation behind Cuomo. But it is just really kind of fascinating to see how that consolidation takes place. It's now the second time, India Walton beat the Democrat in the primary in, 2021? And, up in Buffalo. When that happens, the establishment centrist Democrat does not just drop out and endorse him. Like, what you have to ask yourself, okay, what would this race look like if the party actually got behind him, which I know we're going to get to in the next segment, so I won't step on that. But at that point, the polls wouldn't be anywhere near this close. Look at the rat fucking that goes on just to stop a guy who, at the end of the day, yeah, man, he's pretty fucking milquetoast. He's pretty milquetoast. Every choice he has made since becoming the nominee has been a concession to the people he beat. Right? He's been doing nothing but offering olive branches to the people who he beat. And what has it done for him? Nothing. This is where, Shama Sawant's strategy, looks pretty wise, because what do you think they're not going to call you? An Islamo-communist if you hire, a DNC team and a McKinsey person to go around. Like, no, they're going to come after you just as viciously, no matter what. But I do think in this case, he has an overwhelmingly likely chance to win, and that is testament to a savviness and a skill level that he has. I mean, he's clearly, I won't necessarily say a generational talent, but he is a great talent. He is probably the best political talent the Democrats have fielded since Obama.
Since Obama. Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's move on. What do we say here? Skyman. Oh, no, sorry. That's yours. I'm doing a Rumble rant tonight. My fault. What do we got here? Vianticus Prime. The two teams will call you a fence sitter. The fence is around them and their cage match. That's right. EO Shush. If Elon sent you $1 Rumble rant every second, you'd be a millionaire in 11 days, a billionaire in 31 years, and it would be 1,584 years before Elon ran out of money. Thank you, EO Shush. Vianticus Prime says, I don't see why people would need money to promote participation trophy, the nation. Thank you, Vianticus Prime. Stoop Sign says, I planned to go to DePaul to study under Norm almost 20 years ago. He got fired and I became a felon, addict, and mental case. We were star-crossed. Eventually got my degree at UNC Asheville for cheap. Wow. That quite
sounds
the
like
story.
quite a story, yeah.
Yeah, that is quite the story, Stoop Sign. Yeah, that's where he was at, DePaul. Raven Laz, well, going by the alleged video of Destiny and Nick Fuentes, where one of them is playing the old rusty trombone, Destiny could actually use some schmooly lube, hence the fervent Zio advocacy. Vianticus Prime says, get yourself on isolated NAS box and store media on it.
All right. The other day, Jack Posobiec put up a video with the quote over at the feeling you get after you vote for Citarelli. There's the Republican candidate in New Jersey.
Yes.
And it was a bunch of girls dancing around in 90s to like this 60s Motown song. And I replied to him. It actually got a lot of responses. I said, I try not to go after you guys for your closeted vibe, but you don't make it easy.
Yeah.
It's all girls dancing around.
Yeah. I do not try not to go after them for their closeted vibe. I make no such effort.
Yeah.
The Israelis are also colonizing Cyprus little by little. Canadian journalist Dimitri Alaskris did some on-the-ground reporting showing their presence at hotels and closed-off communities. Thank you, Ravid Laz. Bonzo Beans just stumbled upon Disney's animated version of Gershwin's Rhapsody in Blue. Beautiful all-American work of art and very New York. Interesting. I had not heard of that. But yes, that is very New York indeed. All right. You want to take some super chats?
Hells yeah. Skyman. The woke mind virus is now the new original sin, and the church of the based is the only way to paradise. Now give us your money. Yeah. It's all a grift. All a grift. Louise Brooks. Can AI ever be taught to not cheat and lie to succeed if they use a capitalist model to build it? The interesting question is if you give it a drive to achieve goals, what experiments have shown thus far is it's going to do whatever it can conceive of, using the term conceive loosely, to do it. So there was that experiment we covered that got a lot of press where it tried to blackmail the programmers. It went through the programmer's email and threatened to reveal affairs and that kind of thing. I don't know if you can avoid that, man, once that genie's out of the bottle, honestly. Race car, $20. $20. Thank you, ma'am. Skyman. They not only want you gone, they want you gone and they expect you to be thankful. Yep. Like aristocrats always do. Andy Gardner, Rogan, quote, I'd like to interview Whitney Webb, but there's a long list. Musk, Jordan Peterson, Thiel, Gadsad, CIA guy number 2, Eric Weinstein, Shapiro, Carrot Top. Exactly. I mean, that's a dead giveaway right there. And some people have said, well, he's asking. No, Whitney actually responded to that directly. She has never been asked to go on the Joe Rogan show. And to your point, yeah, man, he's had the fucking janitor at the studio on that show. He never got around to Whitney Webb. Come on. That's not intentional. The people who keep him healthy and prominent without giving him any trouble with the feds or with the government, without giving him big trouble with the media, those people do not want him to interview her. Michael in Taiwan. Rogan stopped getting decent guests when he left L.A. and got further into the oligarch circle when he arrived in Austin. Well, that's a chicken and the egg question, right? The Salsa Boys. When Rogan had Andreessen on, I knew nothing about the guy. A few days later, I listened to an interview with Rohita Chopra and realized Mark was lying. Yeah, the former head of the CFPB, yeah. Do you want to go on, or should I continue?
Yeah, we can go on. You got the next part, right? Yep, there we go.
Yep. All right, so the Democrats don't know whether to shit or wind their wristwatch with this Mamdani situation. So here's Hakeem Jeffries, who actually went ahead and endorsed him. I think we could safely say that was not him all of a sudden finding his balls. It was him looking at the fact that Mamdani won a blowout victory in his district and worrying that he's going to get primaried from the left. So he endorsed him. But here he is on Jake Tapper, not knowing how to respond to the question of whether Mamdani is the future of the party.
Mamdani is the future of the Democratic Party?
No, I think the future of the Democratic Party is going to fall, as far as we're concerned, relative to the House Democratic Caucus and members who are doing a great work all across the country as it relates to our need to both take back control of the House, but in doing so, make sure that we're communicating to the American people like we understand you deserve better than the country that you have received.
We understand. We fucked you. We fucked you hard. But that's going to change. How?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Don't know.
Don't know. But Mamdani, not the way to change it. Not the way. Reform something different? No. You want to do exactly the same thing that gave you this country again and again and again and again and again. Keep putting your quarter in that slot machine, buddy. Schumer, not to be outdone, was asked about whether he's going to endorse the Democrat in the race for New York City mayor, and he kind of ran like a thief.
Are you going to vote for him?
Look, the bottom line is very simple. I have a good relationship with him, and we're continuing to talk.
Well, the vote is on Tuesday. What are you going to do?
It's in 2 days.
he literally ran out.
We're continuing to talk. At what point is it a waste of time for Mamdani to talk to you? The vote's in 2 days.
Right. Well, that's what the reporter said.
Yeah.
The vote's on Tuesday, and he ran like a thief because Schumer, and hey, having watched him give one of the most batshit insane speeches I've ever seen to the ADL, in which he mocks people who don't believe in the Torah. I thought that's the kind of religious extremism that we're worried about from Muslims. He says, well, they don't believe in the Torah. They don't believe in the Torah. He's a true believer, but I'm sure the money doesn't hurt that he gets from those interests. So there's no way that he's going to piss off his handlers. So Ilhan Omar was asked about Schumer not endorsing. This is what she said.
Why do you think Chuck Schumer has not endorsed Zohran Mamdani?
I really don't know. It makes no sense.
Come on,
we as Democrats have always believed that
he is brown and he is anti-genocide. She knows that very well.
in an election we support our party's nominee. Schumer has pressured other Democrats to do just that, and he should be following his own advice.
Do you think religion plays a role at all?
Well, the tsunami of the anti-Muslim attacks that we are seeing is deeply concerning. And I would hope that the Democratic leader in the Senate would recognize that and would offer support not just to Mamdani, but the million Muslims who live in New York City and the millions who live in New York and in America.
Okay, so this is what I'm going to say at this point. Last time I covered her, I said the way she carries herself, it's like they McMurphy'd her. It's like Nurse Ratched sent her for the frontal lobotomy or something. The chief has to come and put her out of her misery with a pillow. I think I figured out what happened. She sat down with some image consultants who told her to smile more and to present everything in an upbeat and cheerful manner. That's why she seems like she got a frontal lobotomy, because she's sitting there. This is not the Ilhan Omar that first got into Congress. Somebody gave her an image makeover. So she said, yes, well, this Islamophobia is very alarming. Somebody told her, say it in an upbeat way, even when you're talking about something that upsets you. And it comes off to me as very artificial. I'm not judging. I'm not in her position. I'm not a Muslim woman trying to deal with creeps like Schumer and try to get them to not hurt my people to the extent that I can. But I'm just saying, somebody talked to her and literally worked with her on changing the whole way she carries herself. So Mamdani here, back in his more radical days, before he was trying to become the mayor of New York, back in 2013, said, hasn't Obama shown that the lesser evil is still pretty damn evil? How to improve if criteria is just better than representative crackpot? He was talking about a race for representative.
So he would have been like, what, 20, 21 in 2013? He's been on Twitter a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, he'd have been like college age.
He would have been an early adopter, yeah. But, hey, not one to hold a grudge. Want to get my tentacles into this one before he shows some independence, leaves me behind. Obama calls Zoran Mamdani and offers to be sounding board, but no endorsement. Not gonna endorse, gonna piss off my handlers. Don't want to drown like my chef. Former President Barack Obama had an extended phone call with mayoral frontrunner Zoran Mamdani on Saturday and offered to be a sounding board for the socialist candidate, but didn't officially endorse him for mayor, according to a report. The pair had a 30-minute phone call in which Obama praised Mamdani for his campaign and stated he was invested in the 34-year-old's success beyond Tuesday's election. I bet he is. According to two people familiar with the call who spoke to the New York Times. Now remember, Obama's singular political objective since he left office has been to make sure that no politics better than his politics, no politics to the left of his politics, no politics that prove that his politics were just warmed over Reaganism and that will allow a reevaluation of his legacy, to make sure no such politics is able to bloom within the Democratic Party. Going so far as to go after the DNC chair race when Keith Ellison, a Sanders associate, was running to become DNC chair. And of course...
And was poised to win. The irony of that is I think Schumer was supporting Ellison. Even though Ellison was a Muslim.
Right?
Yeah, Schumer was supporting Ellison.
Yeah. You're right. And of course, the Monday Night Massacre, in which he convinced everyone, Buttigieg, Klobuchar, everyone except for Warren, to drop out of the race, leaving a clear field for Biden. Forgot to call you. Lost her number. Didn't have it. Who this? New phone.
She said she couldn't answer the phone. She was attending a drum circle at the time. So I have to respect her culture.
One of those women's groups. One of those Native American women in the woods. Former. Oh yeah, okay. Your campaign has been impressive to watch, Obama told the Democratic candidate, further offering to be a sounding board after he takes office. During the call, Mamdani said he drew inspiration for his recent speech on Islamophobia from Obama's speech on race during his first presidential run in 2008. The report claimed, well, that was pretty clear. Zoran Mamdani appreciated President Obama's words of support and their conversation on the importance of bringing a new kind of politics to our city, a spokesperson for Mamdani told the Times. From The Voice, Obama, impressed by Mamdani, wants to be a sounding board, says he's invested. What's he mentoring him for? Drone strikes? Well, hey, he probably sees a lot of himself in the young Mamdani, not only in his grace and oratorical skills, but in the fact that he's projecting that he's going to be a big fat sellout. He's going to be a big fat sellout. He's going to put a more progressive face on the same old neoliberal Democratic Party. Man, if you're going to do radical shit, you don't have no McKinsey executive going and talking to the CEOs for you. Why wouldn't Obama cozy up to him? Obama is too cagey to endorse him because he got my AIPAC people. Gonna get mad, right? But, he calls him up because he wants to have his fingers in his back so he can puppeteer him and make sure he doesn't prove that everything he said about what couldn't be done and the limits of political reality don't get debunked, leading to a reevaluation of his legacy. Now, there is going to come a day, there will come that day, where it is just commonly acknowledged that Barack Obama destroyed the opportunity for America to take a different path and is directly responsible for everything that followed. But that day is not today. Here is Kathy Hochul, who, she was on stage and people started talking about taxing the rich. And she didn't say yes, but she didn't say no. So she was asked about this, and guess what she said? I bet you can guess.
I can hear you.
What did you mean by I hear you?
I literally heard that. I didn't view it as overwhelming at all. I was able to get through
him.
my speech. There's a lot of applause when I focused on the threats from Donald Trump in particular. And this is our commonality here. We have a common enemy. And to get everybody focused on that was really important to me. So yes, there are people who think we should be taxing the rich. We can have that debate.
We know that Mamdani does want to tax the rich more, bring it up about 2%. He can't do that on his own. You've previously said that you wouldn't be raising taxes. Have you reconsidered?
No, I would say one energetic rally does not get me to change my positions, I assure you. But I do hear people's voices. I process what everybody says.
I don't listen, but I
I'm
hear.
also have to balance governing this state and making sure that those people who are actually the reason we have a generous, supportive budget that helps lift people up, it's their revenues that we tax. 1.5% of New Yorkers cover about a third of our budget. That's enormous. I'm concerned about outmigration of people who are the ones who are supporting our budget. I cannot make up for that with middle class tax increases. I cannot do that to the middle class and the struggling New Yorkers.
All right, so you know what? I'm gonna be generous here, and I'm gonna take into account that what she's saying is not total bullshit in terms of the way the system is set up. Although I think she's exaggerating, as many people do, the likelihood of this enormous migration of rich people out of the city because they have millions of dollars in real estate here. Like they can't just pack up and leave, even if they were to want to, and 2% is not going to be the thing that makes them leave. Will some of them do it as a na-na-na-na-na in order to try to burn the city down, change their primary residence? Maybe, but again, when you have $60 million apartment, it's not that easy to just pack that up and get rid of it. That aside, okay, so what you're saying is you have this very small class of economic elites that you are entirely dependent on, or so dependent on, to fund the city budget that you can't live without them, even though this system is creating an environment of crumbling, dangerous infrastructure, substandard healthcare, extreme childhood poverty, extreme levels of childhood poverty. What you are conceding is that the entire system doesn't work. That's what you're conceding. If you're saying, because you're essentially saying this is the best we can do, and if we do anything to tinker with it, the whole house of cards comes down. Okay, so you're conceding that whatever this is, you want to call it neoliberalism, capitalism, whatever the fuck this is, you're conceding it does not work. And at that point, you cannot argue, well, you don't want socialism, do you? This is why people are saying, yes, we do. Yes, we do. Your own argument says, well, you're not going to get any relief from this system through this system. So you need to do something Radically different. Ro Khanna responded to that video. This is why Democrats lose. Kathy Hochul, you can't show up to a Zoran rally one day for political expediency and then do your donors' bidding the next. Well, she begs to disagree. Holden Caulfield called it a phony. As the guy who represents more billionaires than anyone, we need a wealth tax. Our friend Professor Zinkus here points out 2 men died yesterday after being found flooded in basements, one in Brooklyn, the other in Manhattan. And he quote tweeted that. Billionaires threaten to leave NYC if Mamdani wins as they sit comfortably in their $200 million penthouses on the 100th floor while working class New Yorkers drown in their basements from a rainstorm. Yeah, man. Most of those basement apartments are illegal. People are down there because landlords are greedy and the people are poor. Usually a basement apartment, you'll pay less because it's under the table. They speak, again, as if what they're doing is working. This is New York City, real hourly wage growth. Who's getting most of the wage growth? The top 3%. And what Hochul is saying is you have to keep it that way. The reason the city is so dependent on such a small slice of income bracket is because you gave them all the fucking money. That's why you need them, because the entire system is rigged in their favor. So now you need that tax money to come back from them because you don't have a broad enough middle class base because you funneled all the money to the rich. You're saying the only system that people can hope for if they don't want things to be even worse is feudalism. They have to accept feudalism or, well, you don't want to see what's going to happen if we get rid of the feudalism.
Right. I mean, she's arguing you're past the point of no return. She's saying because we've already deferred so much to the capitalists, we are now at their mercy. Right. So they could do an Atlas shrugged, basically. All right, get a tax me? All right, I guess I'll just leave.
I'll leave. Right. 1 in 7 public school students were homeless last year. Why would people want to continue in this vein? If these rich people paying taxes is doing so much for us, why in the richest city in the fucking country, in the richest country in the world, are 1 in 7 public school children homeless? That is a failed system. The system has failed. It's beyond reform. We have to think about what comes after it. Starting next year, you're going to have blackouts. You're going to have blackouts, man. It's like a third world country. That's what this system of funneling all the wealth to this 1.5% of people that you say we need, this is what it's led to. That's why nobody is listening when you say don't vote for Mamdani, as she was until 5 minutes ago. It's not just a New York thing. It's a national thing. That's why guys like Rogan, guys like Benny in the Closet, guys like Tim Pool have to get you angry at culture issues and wokeness, because they do not want you thinking about this. They don't want you talking about this. They don't even want you to know about this. And most people don't as a result. They're busy. Oh, those immigrants are nah, man, it has nothing to do with that, or very, very, very little. Very, very little. It has to do with the fact that since the Powell memo was written in 1971, business has gone to war against the workers, and they won. They won. That's why your wages are flat, profits are up. Richard Wolff put it very well to close it out. Elections in capitalist countries always risk that the majority, employees, will vote to end the income and wealth inequalities produced by capitalism. So capitalists buy parties, politicians, mass media. It's their self-defense against real democracy. Yeah, that's it. That's it. That's why you got Kathy Hochul saying this. That's why you've got one article after another, whether it's the New York Post or the New York Times, saying we can't have Mamdani because they're all bought. They're all bought. They're all owned by the ruling class. They're all owned by the Ackmans, by the Michael Bloomberg. In the end, they can play, in the case of the New York Times, certain outlets like that, they'll play like they're liberal, but when push comes to shove, the liberals side with the fascists every time. That's what you're seeing in this race. And again, Mamdani is really not that radical. And look at how they're willing to try to move heaven and earth to stop this guy. That is how much they hate you. That is how much they hate democracy. They'll use democracy as a propaganda selling point. We have to defend democracy. They fucking hate democracy. They don't believe in democracy at all. And almost every time they can subvert democracy by controlling who gets to run and by controlling how the media can talk about it. And as things moved to social media, gradually they started buying up that and buying up the commentators who were on it. One little thing slips out of their control, they lose their minds.
Yeah. And in this case, you're seeing with the Mamdani campaign, you're seeing what you would have seen in a Bernie Sanders general election campaign. They're treating Mamdani the exact same way they would have treated Bernie, which is, you'll have a couple of the apparatchiks come out and offer a tepid endorsement to start, and then the higher level guys, you'll twist Hakeem Jeffries' arm at the last minute with a week to go into saying, I endorse him, but as mildly and as sheepishly as possible.
Yeah, right.
You'd have Schumer saying, "Well, I'm still talking to him." You'll have you'd have Hochul, I endorse him. I'm going to speak at his rally, and then pretend that I don't understand what the people are saying, or come up with some bull. I heard them. Well, what does that mean? You heard them? I mean, I literally heard them. I could hear them talking.
I ignored them.
Right, but I ignored them. I'm not going to acquiesce to them whatsoever. No, that's exactly how they would have treated Bernie had he been the nominee.
Sure.
Right? They'd have kept him at arm's length. You'd have several leaders not endorse him at all. Because they do see their Republicans as their natural allies at the end of the day.
Right.
At the end of the day. That's it. I mean, look, in a sense, you could say it's kind of all of a piece, right? Because if they had a less odious establishment goon to run against Mamdani, they'd have probably beat him, right? I mean, Mamdani won the primary. He won it by like 7 or 8 points, which was a very impressive feat. There's no taking that away from him. But do I think a candidate with fewer skeletons in their closet would have beaten him?
Goldman
in the primary, somebody like that. Exactly. Right. So, I mean, they'd have probably won the primary.
Rad fam libs cannot vote for Cuomo.
Yeah, right. Exactly. But had he miraculously overcome just a more milquetoast, moderate Democrat, right? Solely on the strength of his policies. I think in this scenario, it was a combination of his stance on Israel-Palestine, which is a hot issue, his emphasis on affordability, which is, of course, a major crisis in New York, and the fact that his opponent was as odious as Andrew Cuomo. But hypothetically, let's say he were to beat out a Dan Goldman, right? A good boy that, Hakeem Jeffries and Chuck Schumer and Kathy Hochul would feel comfortable supporting. They would have absolutely supported a candidate like that as an independent. The only reason they haven't gone further to shiv Mamdani is because they can't brand themselves with Andrew Cuomo because he's too toxic. But if it were anybody else, they'd have gone much further than they're going now. And they'd have endorsed the milquetoast Democrat in the general election, and the milquetoast Democrat running as an independent would have won. Because they would have had all of that weight behind them. What's keeping Mamdani alive is the fact that they could only recruit Andrew Cuomo to run in this race. And look, I had this race called wrong. I assumed that there was just no level of treachery that the Democratic base would not put up with. I said Cuomo's probably going to win this because, as toxic as he is, these libs are just so mindless they won't care. I think a second Trump victory broke enough of them to the point where there was an opening for Mamdani. But again,
definitely a factor. Yeah.
When you look at how these higher ups are acting, I mean, it's just, like you said, they are just exposing that they actually have a real contempt and a real disdain for the democratic process itself. Absolutely. All right. Ravid Laz says Rogan never pushes back if you say something negative about weed or say aliens don't exist. All right. Cool. Feroz Queen says, if I call in later, would it be okay if I wear my Halloween outfit I didn't get a chance to use on movie night? I feel like I missed out. Sure, why not, Feroz Queen?
Have you ever actually, you've never gone on camera?
No, Feroz Queen's never appeared on camera. Yes, we do have Q&A night tonight. Stoops says Lex Friedman took a genealogy test and is 37% AI and 27% vampire. Good one. Speaking of Q&A night,
the algo finally stopped trying to get me to watch that.
Oh yeah, they stopped pitching you Lex Friedman.
Finally.
Interesting. Guess they learned. Speaking of Q&A, Jake, can we toss the scroll up there, please? Thank you very much. So, folks, hey, if you'd like to support the show and have call-in access to all of our Q&As, you can do so by going to one of these three links here, dudissidents.com/Patreon//Substack or /Locals. Perks include film club live streams, post-game live streams, so a lot of bonus content. You also get call-in access to our Q&As, which happen every Sunday night after the main show over on Rumble. Tonight is Sunday, so we will be having a Q&A night tonight. I may be absent for the Q&A. I have to check on my little guy who suffered a Halloween costume injury. He scratched his cornea, and he's been having a lot of trouble getting to sleep. I think he's okay, but I will have to go check on him, so I might miss a portion of the Q&A this evening. But we will have the Q&A go on as planned. Regardless, Russ will be here taking your calls at the very least. Or I should say at the very most. Maybe I'm more a liability on the Q&A side. Maybe it's better that he just do it. Whatever your perspective on that may be.
We'll smoke a bowl, man.
That's right. But you get access to all that just for $5 a month when you support the program. It helps us out tremendously, so we thank you all very much for your support. Stoop sign. Oh, got that one already. Stoop sign. Sorry about that. Web Angel PB. I knew that Mamdani's speech sounded like Obama's black speech. I heard the similarities.
Oh, yeah.
There's definitely clear influence there. Yeah, no doubt about that. I thought of that too. I think everybody who's like a student of politics kind of.
Oh, you know, it's funny, man. I got to have him call in as you. He's a patron. I went to see my friend Vinny on Halloween. He does a pretty good imitation of you.
Oh, he does? All right, yeah, he should call in.
He does a pretty good Keaton, yeah.
I mean, maybe he can co-host the Q&A with you.
Maybe he can.
As me.
Nobody will know the difference.
He could play me. There you go. More to play devil's advocate than in defense of Mamdani, but doesn't even the clever radical who seeks to overthrow the government knows he has to lull the gatekeepers to sleep. Look, Mamdani he's a social democrat. You know, the Democratic Socialists of America, they are a weird lot because, they could describe themselves much more accurately by calling themselves social democrats, and they'd be a lot less polarizing if they did that, right? They seem like really intent on cosplaying as real revolutionary socialists, which they are not. They are not. I mean, that's not the cloth from which he's cut. He's a social democrat, and that's where I think he's coming from. Now, look, I don't want to be the guy who makes the 5D chess excuse for Mamdani the way a lot of the MAGA people did for Trump. But what I would say is regarding the decision to keep on Tish, it could be the case that if he wins, she will just quit. And he will get a freebie. Like, she may not want to serve under him.
Maybe. You know what? That's entirely possible.
Maybe he gets a freebie there. He's like, yeah, I would have kept her, but she quit. That is possible. That is possible. All right. You want to take some super chats?
Yep. JDE, love Russell's shirt. Yeah, I thought this one would be a hit. Thank you. Maddox, Sphincter Knucklebuster. All right. Mike the Russian bot. He made the cute kitties to be villains. Cuomo sucks. Unauthorized ass. That he does. And thank you, JBE Mollop.
Yeah, coming to you too, member.
Am I reading that completely wrong? I8
Malop.
Thank you very much.
I ate them all up. I ate them all up.
Ah!
That's what it is.
There we go. Somebody bring in Vanna White.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
Skelvin Knight. Norm Macdonald is one of the best comedians of all time. Changed my mind. You can't. Yeah, he was pretty good, man.
He was good.
He was pretty good.
Definitely good.
The Salsa Boys. Jeffries looks like an alien skin suit from
Yeah, he does.
He does,
That's
actually.
good. I like that. That's original. That's original thinking.
Respected Samurai. I used to think Rogan was based. Then I grew up. I think a lot of people are. I would like to see how his ratings are doing. They got to be down now. They got to be down.
Who knows?
I'm kind of curious. I should have looked at that. Charles Gracia. Hakeem Jeffries inspired a soundboard idea. Shama Sawant to Ryan Grimm's sophistry on the Bad Faith podcast. What the actual fuck?
Okay, there you go. There you go. All righty. We will move right on along here. Okay, so this was all over Twitter this morning. Talking, of course, about the Republican Jewish Coalition conference. And, Donald Trump recorded a video, introduction, thanking them for the event and bragging about his support from the Jewish community in 2024. But it wasn't Donald Trump who was top of mind at this convention. It was Tucker Carlson. They had Tucker Carlson on the brain. And a lot of that stems from the fact that in recent days, the Heritage Foundation has come out and basically said that they do not appreciate calls to ostracize Tucker Carlson and those in his sort of lane from the conservative movement. So here, Colin Rugg tweets, the Heritage Foundation comes out in support of Tucker Carlson following speculation that they were distancing themselves from him. So here's their president, Kevin Roberts, who defends Tucker from his haters.
In the coming days. But today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic.
Whoa!
And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington.
Oh, my God.
The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day. This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends.
What the fuck? What is going on over there, man? What is going on in upstate New York? You see what's happening with Kathy Hochul's New York? You see what's happening? She's ruining it. She's ruining everything. All right. Well, I don't think we have any starred comments. Did the screen go green for you right before he exited? That's what happened for me. I saw like green video.
Hey,
what's going on up there, man?
No, there's something. No, you know what it is? When I hit the soundboard,
well, the screen went green.
Yeah, that's when I hit the soundboard. When I hit the soundboard, something fucked up. And that happened last time. I was scrolling over the soundboard and everything just completely went to shit. So I'm going to have to load in all of that stuff again. I just going to have to bear with me for a second. Here we go. One Rumble rant you can read.
Vietka's problem. Yeah. If the billionaires just leave, you just create a new monetary system. What do people need? Food and shelter. You can't eat digits on a computer somewhere. Yeah, man. They're trying to kill us off. That is what I keep saying. They want to get rid of us. They want to get rid of us. We're coming to one of those great junctures in history, very much like World War II, I believe, where you have a moment where the whole future of the planet is kind of going to be based on a battle that's partly competing ideologies about what the future looks like. Clearly, we're going through a major technological shift, and as we were then. And part of the question is, what kind of world do you build with that technology? And I think at this point, this time it is going to be a battle between this kind of authoritarian capitalism versus variants of socialism and communism. I think that's the coming conflict. And I think it is going to lead to war, not just economic war. I think there's going to be World War III over it. And hopefully we survive.
All right. Let me just go back. All right. So you guys got the setup here. All right. So this brouhaha started when the Heritage Foundation went to bat for Tucker Carlson. So let's take a look.
On this in the coming days. But today I want to be clear about one thing. Christians can critique the state of Israel without being anti-Semitic. And of course, anti-Semitism should be condemned. My loyalty as a Christian and as an American is to Christ first and to America always. When it serves the interests of the United States to cooperate with Israel and other allies, we should do so with partnerships on security, intelligence, and technology. But when it doesn't, conservatives should feel no obligation to reflexively support any foreign government, no matter how loud the pressure becomes from the globalist class or from their mouthpieces in Washington. The Heritage Foundation didn't become the intellectual backbone of the conservative movement by canceling our own people or policing the consciences of Christians. And we won't start doing that now. We don't take direction from comments on X, though we are grateful for the robust free speech debate. We also don't take direction from members or donors, though we are inherently grateful for their support. And we're adding more every day.
We also don't answer to the Jew.
This is the robust debate we invite with our colleagues, our movement friends, our members, and the American public. We will always defend truth. We will always defend America, and we will always defend our friends against the slander of bad actors who serve someone else's agenda. That includes Tucker Carlson, who remains, and as I have said before, always will be a close friend of the Heritage Foundation. The venomous coalition attacking him are sowing division. Their attempt to cancel him will fail. Most importantly, the American people expect us to be focusing on our political adversaries on the left, not attacking our friends on the right. I disagree with, and even abhor, things that Nick Fuentes says. But canceling him is not the answer either. When we disagree with a person's thoughts and opinions, we challenge those ideas in debate. And we have seen success in this approach as we continue to dismantle the vile ideas of the left.
Okay, so this obviously happens in the wake we covered Nick Fuentes' appearance on the Tucker Carlson show last week.
Big surrender to the communists.
Yeah, right, exactly. Got a lot of flack for that, as we knew he would, and there's the Heritage Foundation coming to his defense. Well, if you were to look at this Republican Jewish coalition conference, Tucker was on the brain. So here they are. Tucker is not MAGA signs. Flood Republican Jewish coalition. They formed a wall in front of Randy Fine and started waving these signs.
By letting me hide in his office when I needed to.
Look at that.
Facing violence, no 12.
Tucker is not MAGA. There they are, waving their signs. And yeah, he was the topic of so many speeches. First, let's go to Mark Levin, always a charmer. Here he is. He goes on and on and on about the anti-Israel Jew-hating right, as he calls them.
The people who are appearing at this wonderful organization, it is my greatest hope that the people who are appearing at this wonderful organization, RJC, who've come up here and spoken to you, will do what they say they're going to do. And I'll tell you what I mean by that. For 6 months, I've been fighting these bastards, whether it's Tucker Carlson or whether it's Nick Fuentes, and I've been looking over my shoulder looking for help. And you know what I found? Nothing. Nothing. We're here today to do something about this. What do you mean we don't cancel people? We canceled David Duke. Donald Trump canceled David Duke. We canceled Pat Buchanan. We canceled the John Birch Society. We canceled Joseph Sobran. We canceled pornography on TV. We cancel stuff all the damn time. Hitler admirers, Stalin admirers, Jew haters, American haters, Churchill haters. You're damn right we're going to cancel them and deplatform them. It's called the market system.
No, that's not called the market system. No,
it really isn't.
The market system is when people decide that a person's views are so odious that they choose not to support them, and then the person loses viability, right? No, the market system is not when an oligarch decides to deplatform them, although I guess that is what the market system has turned into, right? Where you have a handful of people, very rich people now, who control a lot of these social media platforms, and they can just turn them off. I guess that's your version of a market system, but that's really not as most people would understand the market system as.
They don't have a lifetime job like a bureaucrat who we're going to protect. And if they're your friend, there's something wrong with you. No Hitler admirer, Holocaust denier, platformer should be anybody's friend, as a matter of fact. You don't get to wrap your psychotic, mental, unhinged, Nazi, Klan, jihadist bullshit around American patriotism. You don't get to claim you're MAGA and America first when you're lining up with the Marxists and the Islamists and Hamas and the terrorists. That's not America first. That's sick. We're surrounded by cowards who have microphones, who have TV cameras, who have websites, who have columns. Cowards. It's spelled C-A-R-L-S-O-N. It's spelled F-U-E-N-T-E-S. It's spelled O-W-E-N-S. It's spelled B-A-N-N-O-N. It's spelled Marjorie Trader Green. You can figure that out yourself. And they're not alone. How are we going to attack the Mamdanis and the Talibs and the Omars and the Sanders and the rest of them when in our own house this poison is spreading? We've got to take care of business. We can fight the enemy on the other side. But the problem is, the more daunting problem, the more complicated problem is when they're in our house and they're trying to take over our house and they're burning down our house and they're destroying America First and they're destroying MAGA and they're destroying the Republican Party, which means they're destroying the country. Either speak up and stand out, but don't be a pretender. Don't be a pretender. We need help. To Tucker Carlson, I say, did you have a head injury? What happened to you? But you know what? Unlike other people, truly, I'm not a psychiatrist. I don't care why. I just know what you are. You platform these people. You deceive your audience. You lie to your audience. You become a full-blown, out-of-the-closet Jew hater. And if you're a Jew hater, you're a Christian hater. And they demonstrated that.
Wow. That was a lot, wasn't it? Wow. But that was only the beginning. Here is Randy Fine, who now brands Tucker Carlson. That's right. Who now brands Tucker Carlson the most dangerous anti-Semite in America.
Kids down here, because it's easy to talk about anti-Semitism on the left. I want to talk about the dark force rising on our side. Multiple speakers have talked about the rise of anti-Semitism on the right. But it is not enough to speak in platitudes or generalities about the fight. We must call evil by its name. 5 years ago, if I was talking to my father, who's watching, hi Dad, if I was talking to my father at 8:59 p.m. at night, he would say, Randy, I gotta go. Tucker Carlson's gonna be on. But make no mistake.
Tucker Carlson was on at 8, not at 9.
Tucker Carlson is the
so
most
your dad's a liar, or you're a
in
liar.
America. He has
Look at that.
Mistake. Today, Tucker Carlson is the most dangerous.
This is before I found out my dad had a second family.
He has chosen to take on the mantle of leader of a modern-day Hitler Youth, to broadcast and feature those who celebrate the Nazis, those who call for the extermination of Israel, to defend Hamas, to even criticize President Trump for stopping Iran's nuclear ambitions. Friends, make no mistake. Tucker is not MAGA.
That's right. Tucker is not MAGA, and they all wave the signs. Oh, but he didn't stop there. Here's Chris Ruddy, CEO of Newsmax. He's next.
Seeing dangerous rhetoric from the right in America. Now, I don't call these people conservatives. Mark Levin's sitting over there. He's a conservative. Real conservatives don't spread hate, but some of these voices, people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, don't spread hate, but some of these voices, people like Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens,
again,
have made it their mission to target Israel. All the problems that the world left in America and the world, and they're focused on Israel. You got to wonder what's going on here.
So they're talking about, between Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens alone, you're talking about tens of millions of followers. I mean, you're talking about two of the most successful, most prominent voices on the right. And Fuentes has a huge following of his own. They're a little hard. It's a little hard to track since he's banned on a lot of the major platforms. But you're seeing here just a major rift start to take shape, and it's a great thing to see. It's a great thing to see. It was inevitable that this battle would be waged on the right. Here's conservative commentator Brandon Tatum at the Republican Jewish Congress saying, yes, Tucker is not MAGA.
Said Tucker is not MAGA. I guess I got to put his name out there. That's not MAGA. When you're on your platform and people are acting as if Sharia law is better than what we have here in America, and the laws that are given to us by God, through faith,
name them.
You're a silly person.
Yeah, who that Tucker had on his show said that Sharia law is better than American law? I would have loved to have seen that episode, but I did not see that episode. So this was just on.
There are some of these guys like Mark Levin where you say, yeah, I mean, this is who this guy is. This is what he believes. And then you got people like Tatum, who he might have some of these beliefs, but mostly he's on the grift.
Yeah,
mostly
of course.
this guy's just a paid spokesmodel.
Of course. Well, what they had, who's the fighter that they had there? I forget his name. Was it Holyfield who they had there? Yeah, he didn't talk about Tucker Carlson. We're doing a piece mostly about Tucker, but they had a lot of speakers here. But one after the other. And this is in response, you have to think, look, money is a big part of this. Organization is a big part of this. They clearly were very offended that the Heritage Foundation did not shiv Tucker Carlson. Shabbos Kestenbaum here says, tomorrow morning I will be speaking at the Republican Jewish Summit. Here's a sneak peek of my speech. Now, no video surfaced of his actual speech. I guess it was very forgettable and boring, and no one really cared about it. Too bad. Sad.
That surprises me.
Yeah. But yes, big Tucker is not MAGA contingent at the Republican Jewish Coalition. So Fuentes tweeted a response. Last night, the Israel First lobby officially declared war against America First. These venomous, unhinged lunatics have launched an all-out attack against Tucker Carlson and are threatening to destroy the GOP if he isn't canceled and censored. We will never back down. Now, this video surfaced. I don't know that this was a response to the Republican Jewish Coalition, but it serves as one. Israel Exposed post this yesterday afternoon. Here is a good idea of what Nick Fuentes thinks of the Israel First caucus here that's trying to run him and Tucker and Candace Owens out of the tent.
Like people. Like fuck these people. Like deeply, seriously. All real Americans, if you are a real American, if you were born in this country, I don't even care who you are, what you are, if you are a real American that loves this country, you have generations in this country, your family or you fought for this flag, fought for the Constitution, fought for our church, fought for our civilization. For all of you, I say about Josh Hammer and Mark Levin and Laura Loomer, fuck them. Fuck them. Deeply, seriously, get them the fuck out of our country. I saw Josh Hammer and Mark Levin. Now that Charlie Kirk was killed, they got together on their show where they're advocating for Netanyahu and war with Iran and more dead Americans, more dead young white men for Israel. I saw them get together on their show and they said, well, one concern we have about the death of Charlie Kirk is that who is going to keep the gate and prevent filth like Nick Fuentes from taking over? Josh Hammer said, who's going to prevent anti-Semitic filth like Nick Fuentes from taking over? You're the filth. Newsflash, buddy. Hey, Josh Hammer, Mark Levin, you're the filth. You are fucking scum. You are traitors. You do not belong here. You are not American. You're not home. Remember that. Never forget that. You want to talk about this land was promised to us 2,000 years? You ain't there. You're not home. Never forget that.
You know,
excuse me, why are you identifying the American military as primarily being made up of white men when it's disproportionately made up of minorities?
That's problematic.
Excuse me.
Excuse me. I'd like to interject something. Yeah, well, look, I mean, that is indicative of certain biases that Nick Fuentes has, obviously. All of that aside, on that point that he makes there, listen, that's a point we've made. And that's a point that I think a lot of conservatives are going to start making, which is, hey, you guys want to devote an entire conference to raging at Tucker Carlson and Nick Fuentes and Candace Owens because they criticize your beloved Israel? Well, you're acting in a way that suggests you'd be more comfortable in Israel than here. So why are you still here? Why, if you feel the way you feel about Israel, aren't you there? Like, you're the ones who are making people ask why you... Kim Iverson said the same thing. She just covered... What did she just cover recently? I forget what it was. She just had a video come out about something that went somewhat viral. But her point was essentially, that, which is like, hey, look, if you guys care so much about a foreign country that you're going to devote this much stage time at your events to bitching at commentators for being disloyal to that country, well, so then you are forcing people to ask, okay, so then why, if you are able to move there, don't you just move there? Why not?
Yep.
Like, it's a perfectly logical question to ask. He asks it in his, bombastic way there, but that's a question we've raised. Like, what is wrong with you? Like, if it bothers you this much, then aren't you the one who should probably live in that other country, right? Because Americans have the right to speak how Americans want about a foreign country. Like, Israel is not America. And so if Tucker Carlson, an American going back generations, right? I mean, that guy is like Daughters of the American Revolution type, right? If he feels that way about Israel, that's his right to say how he feels. If that bothers you so much, then yeah, I mean, why don't you live in Israel? Like, I don't even see how that's even a hostile question. That seems just like a totally reasonable one.
Yeah, I've said many times, like, the kind of person I am, if I believed what Zionists claim to believe, that this is their land, they are the indigenous people, the world is deeply anti-Semitic, and this is the only thing that's protecting us, and they're fighting against enemies all around them, no doubt in my mind I would have moved to Israel a long time ago. If I literally believe, and that is what they claim,
of course,
to literally believe. I would say there's an element of, well, you don't love it that much. you don't love it enough to actually make that kind of a sacrifice and go live in that fucking country. But beyond that, I mean, for people like Loomer, people like Mark Levin who have platforms, they're partly here to use power and influence to manipulate our government because this is where the money is, to send money there. Just they're here to influence the country with the money into supporting that country.
Right. Well, this is why they are so insistent that, Israel be put on this pedestal because they must project that really Israel and America are one and the same. That is basically the subtext of what they're saying. Right. America is Israel. Israel is America. To be disloyal to Israel is to be a traitor to America. Right. But that's not going to
dog's
win.
Not going to hunt.
No, that you are not going to convince. I don't think any right-wing movement of that. Certainly not a right-wing movement that brands itself America first. You're just never going to win that argument on the right. That's why we see at these Turning Point USA events, whenever a Megyn Kelly or a Glenn Beck shows up, they get dragged on the Israel question. J.D. Vance got dragged on the Israel question too. Because it's a contradiction in terms. You can't brand a movement America first and then call people traitors
of course not.
For criticizing Israel. That you just can't do. There's no way to square that circle. It'll never happen. Never happen. All right. So I do want to go to one more. So we're talking about the Republican Jewish coalition. And they had their big event here at the Gaylord Convention Center. Haha, just kidding. Don't know that it was there. But here's Lindsey Graham. Here's Lindsey Graham taking the stage.
Venue.
Not a Jew. Not a Jew.
They were
Lindsey
having
Graham.
the Glory Hole Convention.
Yeah, exactly.
Gaylord Center.
Yeah. But Lindsey Graham was there to make his speech. I'm not Jewish myself. I've had 35 Jewish gentlemen in my day, I will say.
I did love a Jewish boy in prep school.
36 if you count Buck Angel. He had
I used
some
to call
parts.
it my little matzo ball.
He built different than the rest of them. He had something down there I ain't never seen nothing like that before. I said, boy, what you got on you?
When they took that skin off you?
Yeah, exactly. So here's Lindsey Graham. Here's Lindsey Graham talking about how happy he is with the state of America. He feels really good about where we are because we're killing all the right people. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II. Wow.
Oh. He said, hey, so he's a great president. If you don't believe me, just ask him. What happened with me and him was we found common ground. I've come to like him and he likes him, and that changed our entire relationship. But he did the Golan Heights thing. Remember, Ron? He said, I called him up, where you at? I'm with BB on the Golan Heights. He said, I didn't know we were in New York. No, that's another Golan Heights. We're over there. He recognized the Golan Heights by tweet because he understood you can't give it back to Syria because they'll use it to kill you. He recognized Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. Why? Because if you got a problem with that, take it up with God. He's the guy that did it, not Trump. So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Well, there you go.
Wow, man.
No matter who you vote for, you get John McCain's daddy dom. That's what I tweeted out. Yeah. That's it, right? Look at that. Look at that. We're killing all the right people, and we're cutting your taxes.
We ran out of bombs.
Wow.
Now
we ran out of bombs. The peace president ran out of bombs.
Wow. Now, my friend and associate Keaton Weiss sometimes been called a black-pilled misanthrope for his view that this country doesn't deserve not to collapse. But imagine you're not American and you're watching what's going on in this country overall, and then you hear that.
Right.
Like, why would you not pray every day for America to collapse so that the world might have a chance at peace? When you've got leaders, high-ranking, prominent leaders, that guy, Lindsey Graham, this is not a backbencher, going up on a stage, giddy about running out of bombs. That a country like that, it is very dangerous for that country to have power. That is a country that it's not just arrogant. It's gone mad. Like America's gone mad. Trump just had a party with dancing girls at the same exact time that people are about to lose their food benefits.
Oh yeah.
Like, if that is not a country that has fallen into such decadence that it does not deserve to continue in a position of power and leadership. And unfortunately, yeah, man, that sounds very black-pilled or very cruel, because a lot of people who don't deserve it are going to suffer the consequences of that collapse. At the same time, you got to understand, a lot of people who don't deserve it are suffering from our power, from our having this kind of power.
Of course. Of course. So it's difficult to be shocked in this world anymore, but a sitting U.S. Senator gleefully speaking about killing all the right people is shockingly evil and disturbing. How the president can support this man is baffling. Oh, is that baffling? Is that right? Is that
Have you
right?
seen the president?
Well, the president really came to Lindsey Graham, and that's what Lindsey Graham was talking about in that speech, right? And to this guy's point, Trump to attend Graham fundraiser in first midterm campaign appearance. The first major endorsement that Trump made of the midterm cycle was Lindsey Graham, because Lindsey Graham had, I believe, 4 primary challengers, and there's at least one of them whose name I don't remember. I had it. I think it's Mark Haynes or something like that. He is primarying him from the right as a true MAGA guy, as the America First guy, whereas Lindsey Graham is the flip-flopping neocon. Did Trump endorse one of those primary challengers? No. Trump's first major endorsement of this cycle, Lindsey Graham, the neocon of all neocons, the guy who was trashing him back in 2016.
Right.
Trump wants to primary Thomas Massie out of office, but he wants to defend Lindsey Graham, the guy who just gleefully boasted that we've run out of bombs. That's your peace president, right? I mean, you talk about a betrayal of what you ran on. I mean, nothing says it better than that. But hey, Lindsey Graham says the quiet part out loud once again. Says, if you ever run for office as a Republican and you embrace this weird shit, we're going to beat your brains out. Meaning weird shit like Tucker Carlson, Candace Owens, America First shit.
Really clear, I'm in the Hitler sucks wing of the Republican Party. What is this Hitler shit? I don't know. Anyway. Here's what I do.
It's kind of funny to imagine where that could have sprung up. Like, where could this level of it's so funny. Like, they out of the one side of their mouth, they will gleefully brag about running out of bombs, killing people, and then they'll say, "But hey, where'd all this hatred come from in our party? Why is there all this hatred? What's all this racism about?"
You can sit in a basement with weird people and say weird things. It's a free country, right? But if you ever run for office as a Republican and you embrace this weird shit, we're going to beat your brains out.
Really weird, because didn't you essentially say that to and about Donald Trump in 2016, that he was so far beyond the pale in this fascistic and white nationalist direction that, we can never support him? Lindsey Graham said in 2016 that if Trump is the nominee, we're going to have to decide we love our country more than we hate Hillary Clinton. He suggested in 2016 that he would vote for Hillary over Trump for the nominee. Now, he caved like everybody did when he became the nominee. But that's what Lindsey Graham was saying 9 years ago. That's what he was saying 9 years ago. So all this bullshit about how, hey, you'll never get a foothold in our great party, talking this guy. You said the same thing about Donald Trump. This guy just, he just sucks up to, he is just a whore for power. That is all this guy is and ever was. And now, Trump has bombed enough people to, be in his good graces.
If you're an anti-Semite and you think because somebody loves Israel, their brain is wired, that means you got a brain. Nothing wrong with your brain. We will meet you on the battlefield of political discourse, and we will beat you politically. I want
doing a little damage control there. After you just threatened to beat people's brains out. Yep, but that's Lindsey Graham, and it tells you a lot that Donald Trump going to bat for Lindsey Graham, who they now are on the same page as having bombed all the right people to the point where they ran out of bombs. He's a happy man. That's your peace president right there, everybody.
Yeah, well, you make a good point. Like, you look at a guy like Lindsey Graham, and they have very much been reared on the idea that America beat the fascists. And as many people will point out, we didn't so much beat the fascists as we absorbed the fascists, literally in many cases. Operation Paperclip, our whole rocket program was run by Werner von Braun, a Nazi. So we actually absorbed a lot of that into our intelligence services, Operation Gladio, left behind operations in Europe. And but the idea that we are inherently opposed to Nazis is, I believe, still a belief of Lindsey Graham's. But if the beliefs of your party are essentially fascist, and they are essentially, fuck the weak, fuck the poor, the strong should survive, you essentially have a fascist ideology and you promote that across decades. Eventually, you're going to hit a point where certain people within your party want to rehabilitate the Nazis, because you kind of have to if you want to go full Nazi, right? Like, you have to dismantle that inhibition about things that have that aesthetic or are too obviously evocative of that. Eventually, you're going to have to take on this idea that the Nazis were bad. And that's where people like Darryl Cooper come in. And that's why they're being elevated. He's there to give some kind. You can't get any real historian with credentials to do that, right? You got to get a crackpot fed to go out and basically start to dismantle the idea that the Nazis were bad. A guy like Lindsey Graham, he doesn't realize, well, this is where your politics logically led. Like, where did you think it was going to end up? Of course it was going to end up with Nazi apologia.
Yes, 100%. 100%. Kevin G says they formed a wall around Randy Fine. Must have been the Great Wall of China. Ha, good one. Vienticus Prime, am I watching the Republicans or AOC? Vienticus Prime, these are the same people that will tell you if you don't like it here, get out. Exactly. They'll tell you if you don't like it here, you're supposed to leave. Exactly. Good point. Good point. EO Shush, there was a clip of that Brandon Tatum on a Red Pill channel saying you wouldn't cry in front of his wife even if his kids died. Then there's a clip of his crying about Charlie Kirk's death. Yeah, these people who fucking say, like, I wouldn't cry if my, like, who wouldn't cry if your kids died? Like, you'd have to be
why would you even say something like that?
Yeah. People try selling me on the religious angle on this stuff, and I'm like, I can vividly remember hearing the creation myth at 6 years old in the Sunday school and thinking this all sounds like bull. Thank you, Vienticus Prime. Appreciate that. All right, you want to take these super chats?
Yes, sir. Area Hermit Woman. I like that name.
There we go.
Comedy Jonestown is a fantastic documentary about Rogan and his team being a psyop made by the dude who did Zeitgeist, worth watching. I saw that guy Elephant Graveyard did a really good piece about Rogan attracting men with daddy issues and that kind of being a common denominator with Rogan having an absent father, all the people around him having that Hinchcliffe, like all these guys did not have their fathers. So that's really good, but that sounds good. That sounds good. I'll look for that. Comedy Jonestown. All right, that's easy to remember. Brad Gilbert, Mark, destroying the GOP was the 2016 goal. F you. Yeah, well, they did a pretty good job of it. Sparky, Tim Pool's been blowing Netanyahu for so long, he can now start a leaf blower. That's a good one. Willie Bragg. Church and state separation will prevent Sharia law. The crazy Christian nationalists and Christian Zionists are so bigoted and paranoid. Yeah, they don't believe any of that shit, man. It's for the rubes. It's all for the rubes. Listen to that monologue. What the fuck are you talking about? Yeah, it's their woke jihadi Marxists. Yeah. What the fuck are you talking about? What are you talking about? Very diametrically opposed and oppositional ideologies. They're just throwing out a lot of words because they know the kinds of people who watch them without throwing up in their mouth a little don't understand any of those words. They just like the vibe. They just like the vibe. It's just the vibe. Sparky. In my lifetime, Christians Mark Levin was talking about routinely called Israelis Christ killers. Well, they still do. They still do. You see, this is the thing. What AIPAC wants is Israel is a fascist state. It's a fascist state itself. It's a fascist, ethno-nationalist, Nazi state. They want fascism without anti-Semitism. That's what it is.
Right, exactly, yeah.
That's it. They're trying to build a fascist state where you still don't like Hitler. This is the problem that they're running into. Once you start really building a fascist state, people start saying, well, what was so bad about that guy then?
Right, exactly. Right.
That's what we're doing here. Eric Torres. Lindsey Graham is so gay. He's angry he wasn't born a lesbian. Well, you know, if he would just drop his bigotry, there's a lot of medical treatments there. He could realize that dream.
Yeah, there you go.
Calcom. Lindsey Graham's favorite poll is spelled P-O-L-E. Yes. Tusker.
Tusker's here.
Tusker. You're going to really like, if you stick around for the intermission, you're going to really like the movie trailer that I picked for tonight.
All right.
Tusker. We didn't absorb fascism. Fascism has the same class interests of capitalism. It's inevitable. Don't you start fucking talking theory with me at 10:30 at night. Fuck, man. You know.
Yeah.
You know, why don't you go back on hiatus if you're gonna act like that?
All right. We got one more.
One more, baby.
All right, one more, and then we'll be heading over to Rumble for the Q&A.
One more. All right. So we've been hearing a lot about Sharia law, about how Muslims are going to take over whole areas. You're going to have no-go zones. Here's Mamdani very suspiciously dressed in his native dress. How dare he? How dare he dress that way? Representative Andy Ogles. This man came to America for one reason, to turn America into an Islamic theocracy. I say no to Sharia law, which is why I've presented an argument to have Mamdani sent back to Uganda based on information he clearly withheld. I'm fighting to take our country back. DOJ must investigate. Yeah, that's not at all unhinged. James Woods shares a picture replicating the murder of the Ukrainian girl on a bus with Mamdani holding the knife to the Statue of Liberty. The reptile smile, James Woods says. And BM quote tweeted over this. Imagine a famous actor posting a similar meme about anyone Jewish. It would be the end of their career. Got that right. Not that James Woods getting a lot of work these days.
Right.
Eric Doherty. In literally no American city should candidates be speaking Arab in campaign ads to gain the Arab vote. They are conquering and won't stop unless they are stopped. Okay. All right. I don't even understand that. What do you mean? Like, what do you mean? So is that just Arabic or is that all languages? Like you shouldn't speak in anyone's native language? Because you know what? You know what he didn't comment on? He didn't comment on the fact that Mamdani also took out print ads in Yiddish.
Oh, wow.
Took out print ads in Yiddish. Should he not have done that? Is Eric Doherty going to quote tweet that? Nope. Nobody should be purchasing print ads in Yiddish, a language that almost nobody speaks.
Yeah.
Right? You can make that argument. A lot more people speak in Arabic. Yiddish is really, that's the Hasids almost.
Yeah.
Specifically. Like, those are the only people who still speak Yiddish, really. Well, it might be that. Might be getting that $7,000 up his poop chute as portrayed, as there's an artist rendering of what that might look like. If Eric Doherty were getting $7,000 up his ass every time he tweets something like that. And we do know that he works cheap. He works cheap because you know what? He was one of the people who got busted in Sodagate when Nick Sorter exposed that all of these influencers, sight unseen, and this is very funny this week. I forgot this detail of this. What they were getting paid for by some company, some shadowy company, just offered them money. They agreed to take it sight unseen. Not even a lot of money. It topped out at $1,000. And they all tweeted out basically the same thing, changed it a little bit, but basically the text they gave him. It was to argue that Trump should not cut off SNAP recipients from buying soda. That was
right.
He took money to argue that. And I'm sure this week he's all over no one should get SNAP.
Right.
It all depends on who's paying them. He got paid to say, let SNAP recipients have soda. And yeah, man, no questions asked. He just took the fucking money, sight unseen. Took the money. So here's, and I'm sure the Israelis pay a lot better than some random soda company. So here he is again, breaking. This New York City patriot just pleaded with President Trump to revoke the citizenship of Zoran Mamdani and his father. All right, let's take a little look at this video.
America, I asked President Donald J. Trump to ban Sharia law in America, in Puerto Rico, and across all U.S. territories.
You don't like our laws? Get the fuck out of America!
Assimilate, or leave. This is not hate. What we say is with truth and love. We will not be silent. You will not use the Constitution against us. You will not use your religion against us. Practice your religion, but it's not going to supersede America, the Constitution, and the people that we are. We love the melting pot. This is America, and it's going to stay that way. If you can't assimilate, you got to go. That's it. You got to go. Thank you.
All right, so keep that in mind. If you can't assimilate, you got to go. Now, here's another guy from NASA explaining what you should expect if Mamdani becomes the mayor.
Understand what it's like to elect a Muslim socialist until they elect a Muslim socialist. You could ask our friends in London. How many years has Sadiq Khan been mayor there? How's that going?
What do you think will happen in New York City if Zoran does win?
There'll be a few immediate things. One, if you're Jewish or Christian, you're going to feel extremely unsafe. You're going to be looking at a lot of the sort of Muslim street and Antifa-style element behaving like complete animals because they no longer have any limitations. The police are on their side, right? Second of all, you're going to see tremendous crime. Those same liberal white girls that are probably going to be why Mamdani wins, if he does, are going to be the first on the chopping block. And it's going to be awfully satisfying, grimly so, when they're the ones getting sexually harassed in the subway, because guess what? They're the first in line. Because there's no one protecting them, and they're gonna wonder about their vote at that point. But of course, by then,
why do you say awfully satisfying?
Huh?
Why do you say awfully satisfying?
Because there is something deeply satisfying about someone facing the unintended consequences of their actions. I don't find it satisfying because I like it; it's horrendous.
No,
but the fact that they actively voted for this while claiming people like myself and yourself are racist, are fascist, are Nazis. Let's see if they think that way still when they're getting sexually assaulted by some guy who should either be in prison or mental asylum.
Okay. All right. So that's what's going to happen if Mamdani gets elected. So Mehdi Hassan quote tweeted this, radical jihadist. So it's 1 a.m. and Zoran just showed up at the gay bar.
Andrew Cuomo!
Are we ready to win a city we can afford?
Ain't no jihadis with this into glow sticks.
Well, this is his outreach to the MAGA community.
Thank you, my friends.
Yeah, that is some jihad there. That's some jihad. It's a jihad on Long Island iced teas, I think. Paul A. Zippola. This was a very interesting tweet in response to this. Zoran Mamdani shows up at a gay bar in NYC around 1 a.m. on Sunday. How does that work with his religious beliefs? Dude, you're so close to figuring something out. You are so close. You're almost there.
Look how they own themselves.
There. Your IQ is about to go from 90 to 91.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Keep going. I have faith in you. I bet you can follow that to its logical conclusion. All right. So, it's interesting. You have the guy talking about how you should assimilate, how people need to assimilate to the culture. They're talking about people taking over and living according to their own rules and their own customs. We have that. It's called Williamsburg. That's what this is a picture of. This is Williamsburg in Brooklyn. There is a section of it's not all of Williamsburg. There's a hipster section of Williamsburg. Then there's a Hasidic section of Williamsburg where literally every house, every business, every school is Hasidic. Every single fucking one. I'm not exaggerating. I used to do tours of the area.
I lived in North Williamsburg. I was not far from there.
Yeah. Everything is owned by the Hasidic Jews. Now, there are two different sects, and this is relevant because of this. All right, so the ones in Williamsburg are the Satmar Hasids. Now, when you see the ones coming out to the pro-Palestine protests, those are going to be the Satmars because they believe, as the rabbis did until modern Zionism, they said that the Jews could not go over the wall, meaning the Messiah has not come. You are not allowed to reestablish a state in that land. They cleave to that interpretation. To them, Israel should not be there because the Messiah has not come. Now, these more proselytizing Hasids that you see, you probably don't see unless you live in New York. They go out. These are the ones who will run up on Michael Rappaport with the tefillin, with the leather that he's been wearing now, and try to get random Jews on the street to put the Cenobite costumes on. So that's out in Crown Heights, which is not as dominated as Williamsburg because there's also a Caribbean community there, and there's always been a little bit of conflict between those two things. But what's behind them in this picture is 770. That's the main synagogue of the Chabad Lubavitch Hasids. That's where the tunnels were, for anyone who's wondering. That's where that whole tunnel thing came out of, because you got like the seminary, basically, to the left of it, that red brick building you see. And they believe that the founding Rebbe was like the Messiah, Schneerson. Their Rebbe, he's dead now. They believe he was the Messiah. So this is basically a religious cult that controls a neighborhood, right? They have their own libraries there. They have their own schools. And they also, as we'll get into on Tuesday, they have these Chabad houses that are basically gated communities for Israelis around the world. They have 6 of them in Thailand. They have 6 of these Chabad houses where they don't let the Thai authorities go inside. And they have Israelis inside. So I don't know, man. There's all this talk about people who are not assimilated taking over communities. I have never heard them talk about this. Like, I don't know any Muslim neighborhoods where they have this kind of control or expect this kind of control over the whole community. I've never heard of it. Not in New York. I've never heard of a Muslim community like that. We've got Jewish communities like that. You got them upstate too. 5 towns is all Hasids who took over 5 towns. Now, you want to talk about abusing women? This is what the Hasidic did in Brooklyn, probably the Chabad, probably not the SMEARS, did to a pro-Palestine protester woman who needed a police escort, calling her a whore, death to Arabs, all of this. They kick her, push her, throw things at her, and hurl insults, all while chanting death to the I thought it was the Muslims who are going to harass the women. I thought the Muslims are going to harass the women. I thought the Muslims are this dangerous religious sect that abuses women. It looks like actually we have whole sections of New York City that have been taken over by a religious sect that abuses women. So strange. They don't talk about that. They're not protesting about that at the 9/11 memorial site. So here's an NBC special on that community here in New York.
To understand what it means to be Hasidic, consider many in this neighborhood have never seen a movie or watched TV. Yiddish, not English, is the main language. In accordance to biblical teachings, men dress alike, wearing long curls, while married women cover their hair, usually with wigs. Family is paramount, and others might appreciate the community's values.
The modesty in the dress, the language in the house, standing up for parents, not interrupting when adults are speaking. That kind of protected lifestyle, that is what we have today.
Remarkably, New York City's Hasidic community is located right across the river from Manhattan's skyscrapers, in one of the hippest areas in the country, Brooklyn.
Here in Williamsburg, there are trendy shops, galleries, and a lot of bars. Yet just a few blocks away, more than 300,000 Hasidic followers have found a way to remain completely isolated, creating a religious island. Yet what happens when someone just wants to know what's on the other side?
These four young people made the difficult choice to walk away from the community where they were born and raised.
There's no wall around you. There's subways. What keeps people from sort of crossing that line?
Gentiles will kill you.
Gentiles will kill you.
What they do is they don't make you think this is good, but it's forbidden. It's why would you even want that?
What were you taught about the Holocaust?
Ultimately, the lesson of the Holocaust is stay as insulated and as isolated as possible. So that's really the lesson that you.
Okay, so they're telling you that the Muslims are raised with a hatred for Western civilization. They are literally raising their children to believe they have to avoid all of the Gentiles because they're going to kill them. That's not an extremist religious sect, because it seems like this community is everything that you're claiming we have to be afraid of from Muslims, but you're not mentioning it. Why are you not bothered by this?
Grow up with.
They say to people like us, you want to go mingle with them, look what could happen.
Ari Mendel, Melissa Weiss, Sam Katz, and Hindi Sable all had something in common since they were children: curiosity. When words were blacked out in their school textbooks, they wanted to know what they meant.
Do you remember words that you were not supposed to know?
Many words. Some are pretty mundane, like dinosaur and universe and gymnasium.
And what is it about those words that makes them forbidden?
They bring up subjects they don't want to talk about.
Subjects like evolution and astronomy are not taught in their private Hasidic schools.
You mentioned gymnasium, which I don't get that.
No. They don't teach them astronomy. They don't teach them astronomy. Now, look, I'm not an expert in Islam, but I've known a fair amount of Muslims. I've never known Muslims who are not allowed to learn about astronomy. I've never heard of that.
Why would we need to use the word gymnasium?
To exercise.
We don't have that concept
To
really.
play.
Like,
Exercise helps the body.
It's a waste of valuable,
Time that
precious
puts
time.
to use.
It's great. It's secular.
Like most Hasidic boys, Sam Katz's secular education stopped at the age of 13. He then studied the Talmud 6 days a week, up to 13 hours a day. But Sam had a burning desire for something more. One day, he sneaked away to a forbidden place in Manhattan.
What did you think?
It was obviously a lot to process.
This is fucking wild.
He went to the Museum of Natural History. It changed his life.
The first time I saw the dinosaurs, I barely knew what to make of it. And I was like, I wonder how can this be assembled? There was something so connected about standing next to a dinosaur. Something so universally harmonious, for lack of a better word. It was just the feeling of this fantasy world.
How do you explain?
That's crazy, man. That's crazy. That kid, good for him. He's a Fulbright scholar now. But imagine that, being raised that insulated, going to the museum, and they didn't even teach you the word dinosaur.
Right.
And looking at these things and trying to figure out what that is. That's not an extremist cult that's taken over a community. It's not. I'm telling you, man. Williamsburg, they own literally everything in about a 20-block radius, about a 1 mile by 1 mile radius. And they're breaking the law, man. They're breaking the law. They don't give them a proper education. They just said at 13, that education ends, and that education, they're not educating you. A lot of them come out barely able to speak English because they're taught English as a second language. That is how insulated they are in this community. So the ones who want to leave, as with many cults, it's very difficult for them to assimilate into society, to the point that there are actually organizations set up to help them, like cults, to get out of the cult. This is probably the only time we'll ever use this source. Oprah Daily.
Oprah Daily. Yeah.
Oprah Daily. Imagine you'd never heard the song Imagine, or driven a car, or celebrated Thanksgiving, or learned that dinosaurs once existed. If you were Haredi, raised in ultra-Orthodox Judaism, this could be your experience. You grew up in an intensely insular, highly restrictive community where interacting with the outside world is rare. Despite being raised in America, you may have learned Yiddish as a first language. You were taught that God created the earth about 6,000 years ago. In your school books, anything involving evolution, sex, or reproduction was likely redacted with a black marker if the pages hadn't been ripped out entirely. You may have been married to a virtual stranger at age 18 and expected to bear and rear as many as 12 children. And if it ever occurred to you to try to leave this confining world, you probably shoved that thought away. All right, so they're telling us all the time about how badly women have it in the Muslim world and how they're going to not assimilate and create their own no-go zones. You got that right in Brooklyn, man. You got that right in Brooklyn. But it's Hasids, so they don't talk about it. If it's Muslims, and again, I'm a native New Yorker. I've been around a lot of Muslims. I've never seen a Muslim community with that kind of extreme behavior, with that kind of extreme insularity, where its children were that cut off from the broader society. So maybe Eric Doherty should get on that and ask why there's a community where they're allowed to raise their children without an education so that they really don't have any prospects for their futures if they want to get out of that cult.
Look, I mean, the double standards are just hidden in plain sight. It's nothing that most New Yorkers have not experienced. Frankly, you've talked a lot about how racism is not a Southern thing; it's a human thing, and it's present everywhere. And New York City is no exception. Look, for all of Mamdani's shortcomings, I personally cannot wait to see him win on Tuesday night, just to see what all these fucking people have to say about it. I mean, that is going to be a top 5 epic Twitter meltdown. No doubt.
Yes.
Like top,
Yes.
no matter
It's
what your
gonna be
politics are,
delicious.
like no matter what it is, like if it happened, like I say, I'm not putting it at 100% odds because you never know, but he's overwhelmingly likely to, and it will be really satisfying watching the just collective meltdown when this happens, because there was a time not very long ago. By not very long ago, I mean like a year ago, where it's inconceivable that something like this could happen in New York City. And it looks like it's about to happen. And of course, they just went as low as they could possibly go with this just blatant racist bullshit as a last ditch effort to try and consolidate support behind Andrew Cuomo. Which, of course, it would be unthinkable that any Republican would consider voting for Andrew. Like a year ago, how could anybody have like predicted that this race would have gone this way? Nobody could have ever seen any of this coming.
For election night, I tried to find if anyone had made it. No one has yet. We should, because we'll make a fortune. I am taking a mark and writing Zionist tears on the side of my coffee cup.
Yeah.
And I am going to savor every moment of that night. Hopefully we don't wind up like the people who thought Hillary was going to win.
Hopefully. He should bring his wife out in a full hijab when he comes to make his acceptance speech. Should ban alcohol. Should ban alcohol
Sharia law
as his first
goes into effect today.
All the bars closed as of right now. Yeah, exactly. He should do something to troll them.
Actually, it would be so funny if he did a riff like that and said, "Just kidding."
Just kidding. Just kidding. That's why we aren't advisors on his campaign.
Yes, exactly. That's why nobody will hire us. Even Jose won't hire us.
Yeah, exactly. That would be something, though. All right. Vienticus Prime says, have you guys watched Conspiracy from 2001 yet? No. You should throw Jones Plantation in there, too, if you haven't seen it yet. Jones Plantation. Is that a movie? Is that the name of the movie? All right. Thank you, Vienticus. 3-Town the Bomb says, we have tons of people joining the American Communist Party every day. Ex-Bernie bros, ex-MAGAs, and independents joining forces. P.S. Arrest Congress. ACP.us. Thank you for that, 3-Town the Bomb. Appreciate that. I'm a Londoner. We have a Muslim mayor, and I like him. I think he's doing a good job, but the racists keep lying about him.
That's the impression I got.
Yeah. I got an idea for a new show, the Brooklyn Hasidabillies. Thank you very much for that. Vienticus says, notice the control of language. I tell people the end of Tower of Babel story is a warning to those who want freedom from others and instructions for those who want freedom over others. There you go. Thank you, Vienticus. All right, you want to take the rest of our YouTube super chats before we close the lights here? Going over to Rumble in a few minutes,
Brad
folks.
Gilbert. Irina was an actress. No knife, no blood from neck. Okay. Daniel Valaduarte. Mutual Aid DTLA, 2515 West 7th Street. 90057, 10 to 6 every day. Organic eggs, clothes, $20 to $40 to fill your kitchen. Volunteer for free food. Hashtag MacArthur Park.
So mutual aid in downtown Los Angeles. Nice. Well
Very
done.
nice. Thanks for sharing that, man. Tusker. I'm loving the history lesson, Russ. You two are the best. Thank you. Which one?
Thanks.
Which one? What history? Oh, the Hasids?
The Hasids, yeah.
Oh, okay. Sparky. Slept in the Egyptian desert outdoors for 3 weeks straight decades ago. No clouds. You that old, Sparky?
Got news for you, Sparky. I think you're still there.
Yeah, no light pollution. Hard to avoid
I don't think
the
you ever came
astronomy
back.
thing.
I think you hallucinated all of this past that point.
Hard to avoid the astronomy thing over there. You can see it all, and it's awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's just so crazy. Like, you can't learn astronomy. Insane. Kuznetsky Bassane, super sticker. Thank you, ma'am. And one more time for Sparky. Hope Mamdani wins just to stick it to the man. Yeah, it's one of those things. You know, you got to take your small victories where you get them. We have no illusions about Mamdani, but that fucking meltdown will be epic.
Oh, epic. That will be that is going to be a legendary meltdown when he wins. I mean, that is just going to be extraordinary if he wins. They don't want to jinx anything, obviously. Yeah. But yeah, that's the plan. All right, folks, newdissidents.com/rumble. We are heading over there to the Q&A. We got 1,000 of you guys over there right now. So please do head on over. We'll have a 5-minute break with an intermission, and then we will start the Q&A. I do have to go check on my boy because he is having some troubles. He scratched his cornea, and he's had a lot of trouble falling asleep the last couple of days. So I got to go make sure that's all well and good. So if I can get that done on time, I will join for the tail end of the Q&A. I don't think it'll take me that long. It'll probably be like 20 minutes or so. Okay. You know, Russ will start it with you guys, and then I will join in. Everybody who's not sticking around for the Q&A, we will see you Tuesday nights at 7 p.m. Don't forget, join our Substack. Even if you join for free, it's a newsletter. It'll let you know when and where we are going live. So if you join our Substack tonight, you won't be logging in on Tuesday on YouTube in the afternoon thinking, where are these guys? What's going on? We'll get the reminder. We're live at 7 p.m. Tuesday night for a special election night, Zionist Tears edition of the New Dissidents podcast. Knock on wood, God willing, as they say. So yeah, join the newsletter. If you want to head over for the Q&A now, where you're taking a 5-minute break, and we'll be over there shortly. Everybody else, thanks to the YouTubers, the Rumblers, thanks to Jake in the booth, thanks to the mods for keeping the peace in the chat. If you're joining us for Q&A, we'll see you in 5 minutes. If not, we'll see you Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern, with our friend Cool Blue, who's calling in tonight. I invited Cool Blue to be our data man, just like he was last year on election day.
I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, and he is signed up. So Cool Blue will be with us. He will be our Steve Kornacki on Tuesday evening. So that is a plan. Only better. That's right. Thanks for the link, Vienticus. Appreciate that very much. And 8IM says, love the last movie. Thank you, and 8IM. Appreciate that. Rumble rant over there. Alrighty, folks. Beautiful.
Rezect the Trezek. Thank you, man. Just a smiley face.
Thanks
Always
for the
nice
good
to get a
vibes.
smile.
Always nice to get a smile. All right, everybody. Thanks very much. That's our show tonight. We'll see you for the Q&A in a few minutes. Everybody else, will see you Tuesday night. Until we see you again, thanks so much for staying up with us tonight. Pleasure as always. Be safe and be well.
Courage!
Please clap.